Hello everyone, and welcome to the Fictional Vortex. So we are back with an interesting movie on what if Naruto was the Primordial Dino Ranger, the first to bond. D with the Dragon Zord, Naruto x Kimberly Hart x Aisha Campbell, Power Rangers Dino Thunder. But before we start, I just want to remind you to please subscribe to my channel and hit the like button if you enjoy my content. Let's start the story. Chapter 1. Awakening of the Dragon. The earth screamed. 60 feet below Reefside's northern quarry, geological surveyor Marcus Chen felt the tremor before his instruments registered it. Coffee sloshed from his thermos onto soil composition charts as the ground beneath his boots rippled like water. Numbers scrolled frantically across his laptop screen. Seismic activity that shouldn't exist in this technically stable region. Base, we've got movement, Marcus spoke into his radio, gripping the folding table as another shutter rolled through the excavation site. Magnitude. Christ, it's climbing. 4.2. 4.6. Static crackled. Then Sarah Kowalski's voice cut through. Chen, get your ass topside. Now. The dig site's howl. Ogan lights swayed on their portable stands, casting dancing shadows across stratified rock faces that told Earth's story in compressed layers. Cretaceous. Jurassic. Triassic. Marcus had spent 3 meters. Once carefully documenting this site's anomalous readings, radiation signatures that predated conventional dating methods, crystalline formations with no modern analog, and those strange geometric patterns in the bedrock that looked almost deliberate. A sound like shattering glass multiplied 1,000 times echoed from the deepest excavation shaft. Marcus ran. Behind him, golden light erupted from the shaft opening. So bright his shadow stretched 50 feet across the quarry floor. The illumination carried texture. Not the steady glow of electrical sources but something pulsing, alive, breathing in rhythm with the tremors. Then came the roar. Not animal, not machine. Something primal that resonated in Marcus's chest cavity, that made his teeth ache and his vision blur. The kind O.F. sound that genetic memory recognized even when conscious thought couldn't place it. By the time he reached the surface access ladder, the excavation site was collapsing inward. Support beams shrieked as they twisted. The carefully gridded dig became a sinkhole pulling equipment, documentation, 3 months of work into darkness that now glowed gold from below. Marcus hauled himself over the quarry rim, rolled across gravel, and finally looked back. A column of light punched through the collapsing earth like a sunrise erupting from underground. Within that brilliance, something moved. A silhouette, humanoid but wrong. Proportions that suggested power rather than human frailty. Tribal markings visible even in shadow, spreading across skin in patterns that seemed to shift and flow. Then, the figure rose from the crater on currents of pure energy, suspended 40 feet above the destruction, and Marcus Chen understood with perfect clarity that his life had just divided into before and after this moment. The being's eyes opened, golden, reptilian, ancient beyond measure. 5 miles southeast, Haley Zichter's custom-built Morphin grid detection array began screaming alerts across 6 monitors simultaneously. No. Haley's fingers flew across 3 keyboards at once, her cyberspace cafe's back room transformed into a technological command center that would make most government agencies weep with envy. That's not possible. That reading would require. She stopped, calculated, recalculated, more concentrated morphin energy than has existed on RTH since the command center's destruction. Her phone was already ringing. Tommy Oliver, because of course it was. Tell me you're seeing this. Tommy's voice carried that particular tension Haley had learned to recognize, the sound of a man who'd saved the world too many times to panic but too often to dismiss anything. Seeing it, Tommy, my equipment is having an existential crisis. This RGY signature is reading is older than the baseline morphin grid itself. That's impossible, Tommy finished. Yeah, I'm suiting up. Get Connor, Ethan, and Kira to the base. Whatever just woke up, we need to contain it before Mesogog's forces detect the spike. The line went dead. Haley was already grabbing her emergency kit, laptop, portable scanners, backup hard drives containing every range. Our database she could legally access and several she couldn't, when the second alert triggered. This one from her oceanic sensors. The Pacific, 15 miles offshore, had just registered a thermal that suggested something massive was warming up. Something that her deep-sea cameras, positioned to monitor underwater Tyrannodrome manufacturing sites, now showed in crystalline detail. A shape, mechanical yet organic, scales of metal catching the filtered sunlight penetrating the depths. Easily 300 feet long, built like coiled power waiting to strike. A Zord, but not like any in her databases. This predated the Dinozords, the Thunderzords, every configuration she'd studied. This was something else entirely. What the hell did we find? Haley whispered to her empty cafe, Al. Ready running for the hidden elevator to the Dino lab. Naruto Uzumaki's first conscious thought in 65 million years was pain. Not physical. His body had been preserved perfectly in the Dragon Gem's stasis field. Every cell suspended in the moment before catastrophic energy release would have vaporized him. No, this pain struck deeper. The kind that came from awareness flooding back, from memory reconstructing itself. From understanding dawning that the sacrifice he'd made had worked. He was alive, which meant everyone else was dead. The realization hit like a hammer blow to the solar plexus. Kato with his infectious laugh and terrible jokes. Yuki who could weave chakra into impossible patterns. Daisuke who'd stood with him since academy days. Master Ryoko who'd bonded the first dragon gem and passed its legacy to him. The entire Ryujin civilization with its floating cities and biomechanical gardens and children who'd never get to grow up. Gone. Dust. Fossil records if they were lucky. Grief threatened to drown him, but ancient training held. Center yourself. Assess. Adapt. Survive. So Naruto opened his eyes and took inventory. He floated in open air, GY discharge from his awakening creating a cushion of golden light. Below, destruction, collapsed earth, ruined equipment, the scar of his emergence. His body responded perfectly despite its impossible hibernation. Muscles flexed without stiffness. Chakra pathways flowed cleanly. The dragon gem embedded in his chest pulsed in rhythm with his heartbeat, its faceted surface visible through his skin. Having fused with his sternum during the sealing. But something felt wrong. The air tasted strange. Too much carbon dioxide, not enough ambient chakra saturation. The sky showed a sun in the right pause. Ishin, but the constellations visible at the horizon's edge were shifted, rotated, wrong. How long? Before he could pursue that thought, his combat instincts screamed warning. Incoming. Multiple hostiles. Eastern approach. Naruto landed, bare feet touching churned earth, and dropped into a defensive stance as the first wave crested the quarry rim. They looked vaguely humanoid, gray-skinned, armored, moving with mechanical precision. Not alive, constructed. Each carried weapons he didn't recognize, technology that felt wrong against his senses, artificial in a way his civilization's biomechanical integration never was. 20, 30, more coming. The lead construct raised its weapon toward the fleeing humans, and Naruto moved. 65 million years of stasis vanished like it had never existed. His body remembered every lesson, every battle, every technique honed through 2 decades of combat before the sealing. Chakra flooded his system in a rush of blue-gold energy, the drag on gem amplifying and purifying the flow until it blazed like captured sunlight. He crossed 40 feet before the construct could fire, rising inside its guard, palm strike to the chest cavity that released a concentrated chakra burst. The construct exploded backward, chest plate cratered, system sparking. Naruto didn't pause. The next 3 fell to a spinning kick that built momentum through each impact. Using the first as a springboard to the second as a pivot point to the third. His hands shaped chakra as he moved, not into the complex jutsu of his academy training but into raw focused bursts. Hammers of energy that shattered armor and disrupted whatever powered these things. A blade extended from one construct's forearm, slashing toward his exposed back. Naruto twisted, caught the arm, used the construct's momentum to throw it into 2 others. His senses expanded outward in the way Master Ryoko had taught, feeling the battlefield as a living thing, each enemy a note in a symphony of violence. Finding the rhythm and turning it against them. Engaging unknown hostile, a mechanical voice stated. Naruto's eyes widened. Language. That was language, not Ryujin, but his mind parsed it anyway. The Dragon Gem's translation matrix activating, feeding him context and meaning. which meant these things had enough intelligence to communicate. He adjusted instantly. On lethal subjugation rather than destruction. These constructs served someone, and that someone might have answers about where, when, he was. The next 10 fell to precise strikes targeting joints and apparent control systems. Naruto moved like water through their formation, never where their weapons aimed, always 3 moves ahead. He read their combat programming like an open book, predictable, efficient. Lacking the improvisation of true warriors. Then the second wave arrived. These were different, faster, their armor more advanced. They coordinated like a proper unit, creating crossfire patterns and covering each other's approaches. Naruto grinned despite everything. Finally, a real challenge. He drew deeper on the dragon gem's power. The tribal markings across his shoulders and arms began to glow. Ancient Ryujin script that told the story of his clan's greatest battles. Chakra condensed around his fists until they blazed like comets. Rukin. Ascending strike. The technique his father had taught him. Refined over 1,000 training sessions. An uppercut that released compressed chakra in a dragon-shaped blast, catching 3 constructs mid-leap and sending them tumbling across the quarry like scattered toys. But more kept coming. Naruto's tactical mind worked furiously. This many constructs suggested a manufacturing base. A command structure. Purpose. They'd responded too quickly to his emergence, monitoring equipment, then. Which meant whoever built them had detected his awakening. Threat assessment. Significant and immediate. A blade scored across his shoulder, drawing first blood. Naruto hissed, pivoted, palm strike to that construct's head that dropped it instantly. But the wound, shallow as it was, brought clarity. He was fighting in his base form, no armor, no full power access. Drawing on the dragon gem but not truly bonded with it in combat configuration. Time to fix that. Naruto disengaged, a burst of speed carrying him clear of the melee. And pressed his hand to the dragon gem in his chest. The gem recognized its bearer's intent and responded with joy. Golden light erupted outward, not the chaotic discharge of his awakening but controlled, purposeful. Flowing across his body in geometric patterns that built upon themselves. Ancient technology merged with human flesh, chakra-reinforced bio-armor materializing from pure energy and crystallized morphin power. His civilization had called it the sovereign armor. The ultimate expression of Ryujin combat philosophy, living technology that enhanced rather than replaced the warrior's abilities. The transformation completed in 3 seconds. Where Naruto Uzumaki had stood, the Dragon Ranger now emerged. Golden armor plating across his chest, shoulders, and forearms, each ECE inscribed with flowing Ryujin script that pulsed with power. Flexible bio-mesh between the plates that moved like a second skin. A helmet that formed from his collar upward, dragon motif faceplate. With crystalline eye covers that enhanced rather than limited his vision. Behind his shoulders, spectral energy wings flickered in and out of visibility, not for flight but for channeling aerial techniques. In his right hand, summoned from the pocket dimension where it had waited eons, the dragon blade materialized. 3 feet of curved folded bio-steel, edge monomolecular, core filled with channeling veins for chakra flow. The constructs hesitated, some survival subroutine recognizing an apex predator. Naruto didn't give them time to adapt. He moved like lightning given form, the dragon blade singing through the air. Each strike precisely calibrated, disabling, not destroying, learning their construction through combat. His enhanced senses cataloged weak points, neck joints, hip servos. Central processing cores in the upper chest. Rukin. Dragon's descent. Aerial technique. Naruto launched himself skyward, spectral wings catching air that shouldn't hold them, reaching the apex 30 feet up. For 1 heartbeat he hung suspended, blade raised overhead, chakra building until the weapon blazed like a captured sun. Then gravity reclaimed him. The impact point erupted in a shockwave of golden energy that radiated outward in concentric rings. Every construct within 20 feet shut down instantly, their systems overloaded by the chakra pulse. Those beyond staggered, coordination broken. Naruto rose from his crater and finished the remainder in 15 seconds of precise bladework. Silence fell across the quarry. 47 constructs lay disabled around him, king and twitching but intact enough for analysis. He deactivated the helmet, needing to feel real air on his face, and that's when he heard it. Rotors. Approaching from the south. Naruto's and Hank. Ed Vision picked out the vehicle. Some kind of airship, smaller than the atmospheric craft his people had used but clearly advanced. It bore no weapons signatures, but 3 distinct power sources onboard suggested enhanced individuals. Rangers. The knowledge came from the Dragon Gem, its vast encoded database updating with information drawn from the ambient morphin grid itself. Modern Rangers. Accessors to the tradition his people had started. Protectors still fighting the darkness. Hope sparked in Naruto's chest for the first time since awakening. The airship landed 50 yards away, kicking up dust. 3 individuals emerged, and even from this distance, Naruto felt their power signatures, active ranger gems, well-maintained bonds, combat experience. The leader stepped forward first. Older than the others, late 20s perhaps, with dark hair and a bearing that spoke of command earned through fire. He wore casual clothing but moved like a warrior, and his eyes, those eyes had seen too much for someone so young. "I'm Drive, Tommy Oliver," the man called out, voice steady and clear. "Those Tyrannodrones were attacking civilians. Thank you for the intervention, but I need you to identify yourself. That armor and energy signature are setting off every alarm we have." Tyrannodrones. So that's what the constructs were called. Naruto opened his mouth to respond and realized, with a start, that he had no idea if they spoke Ryujin. The Dragon Gem pulsed. Translation matrix active. "Speak, and I will adapt." So Naruto did, words flowing in the ancient tongue of his people. Jithik Nor Valthish, Drive. Tommy Oliver. Naruto Uzumaki. Ryu Ranger Valthish Dragon Gem. Korth Malesh. ****. The gem flared. Information poured into his consciousness. Modern language, context, cultural markers. His next words emerged in perfect English, though his voice carried an accent that predated any modern language family. "Long have I slept." Tommy's eyes widened. The 2 younger Rangers behind him, an athletic youth with red highlights and a lean teenager with obvious intelligence, tensed but held position. "Slept," Tommy repeated carefully. "You were in stasis. Sealed," Naruto corrected, searching for the right words in this new language. "The battle against Kurai the Void Emperor. My team and I performed the Eternal Seal. I was to die with the technique. Instead," he gestured at the destruction around them, "I wake to a world that has forgotten the Ryujin." "The Ryujin," the intelligent-looking ranger murmured. Those are from the mythology databases. Prehistoric civilization, supposed to be purely theoretical." "Theoretical," Naruto repeated, tasting the word's bitterness. "Is that what we became?" "Theory." Tommy raised a hand, voice gentler. "Easy. We're not your enemies. But I need you to understand. That armor, that gem in your chest, their reading is older than recorded ranger history. We've never seen anything like them. Because we made the grid," Naruto said quietly. "Or found it. Started the tradition you continue. We were the first Rangers, Drive. Oliver." The words hung in the air like a thunderclap. The red highlighted ranger spoke up. "Dude, that's impossible. The morphin grid is ancient, sure, but 65 million years, Naruto interrupted, the number finally coalescing from the Dragon Gem's astronomical calculations. "I have been sealed for 65 million years. The Cretaceous period, you would call it. Before your species evolved. Before the world knew anything but dinosaurs and..." His voice cracked. "And my people." Tommy's expression shifted through several emotions. Disbelief, wonder, calculation, and finally, something that looked like compassion. Of course. Those eyes that had seen too much. This man knew loss. "Haley." Tommy spoke into a small communicator. "Are you reading this conversation?" A woman's voice responded, tight with barely suppressed excitement. "Every word." "I'm already run." Ning the linguistic analysis on his original language, and Tommy, the mathematical probability of this being a hoax is 0.003%. His energy signature is consistent with dating that far back. "I think he's telling the truth." Haley Zichter, Naruto said, another name gifted by the Dragon Gem's translation matrix. "Creator of the Dino Gems. Your work echoes techniques my mentor, Master Ryoko, developed. You would have enjoyed comparing theories." A pause. Then, "How could you possibly know my name?" Naruto tapped the Dragon Gem. It learns, adapts, translates. The grid its. Elf teaches me what I need to survive this new world. Tommy stepped closer, slowly, hands visible and non-threatening. Naruto Uzumaki. That's your name. Hi. Yes, Naruto corrected his instinctive response. Last of the Ryujin clan. Last Dragon Ranger. He met Tommy's eyes directly. I sense your gems, drive. Oliver, you carry many, more than should be possible for one person. You have been tested by fire. More times than I'd like to remember, Tommy admitted. And please, just Tommy. We don't stand much on formality. He gestured to his companions. Connor McKnight, Red Dino Ranger. Ethan James, Blue Dino Ranger. Our Yellow Ranger, Kira Ford, is maintaining perimeter. If even half of what you're saying is true, we need to get you somewhere secure before Mesogog's forces mount a better response. Mesogog. Naruto tested the name. The one who commands the Tyrannodrones. Former scientist who transformed himself into a dinosaur-human hybrid, trying to return Earth to the age of dinosaurs, Connor supplied. You know, normal Tuesday stuff. Despite everything, Naruto felt his lips quirk. Your sarcasm transcends eras, it seems. Very well, Tommy, I will come. But first, the dragon gem pulsed urgently. Warning. Naruto's head snapped toward the ocean, senses extending. He's waking, Naruto whispered. My partner, the dragon Zord, he feels my presence active and responds to the bond. Tommy's communicator erupted with Haley's voice. I'm getting massive seismic activity offshore. Something big is rising from the Pacific Trench. Naruto closed his eyes, reaching out through the connection that had sustained him through eons of sleep. He felt his Zord's consciousness stirring, ancient, powerful, loyal beyond death. The great beast had waited beside him all this time, dormant but never gone. Ryu-O, Naruto called in the old tongue. Mathish Korval, Thish Nor Vakan. Easy, old friend, we are safe. But the Zord was confused, disoriented, responding to the bond with the only certainty it knew, protect the Ranger. The ocean 15 miles offshore began to rise. Haley, talk to me, Tommy demanded. It's breaching. Oh my god, the size. Tsunami warning, Tommy, if that thing surfaces completely, we're looking at waves that'll hit reefside in minutes. Naruto's eyes snapped open, decision made. I must calm him. A full emergence will devastate your coastal city. Can you control it? Tommy asked. Not control, Naruto corrected, already moving toward the quarry rim. We are partners, bonded. I must show him there is no threat, that I am well. He paused, looking back at the three rangers. You should evacuate the civilians. Just in case. In case you can't stop a 300-foot dinosaur Zord. Ethan said weakly. Yeah, great. But Naruto was already running. Enhanced speed carrying him across the broken ground. Behind him, he heard Tommy issuing rapid orders, the professionalism of a veteran ranger coordinator. Good. These people were competent. The forest blurred past. Naruto enhanced his legs with chakra, each stride covering 20 feet, branches and undergrowth no obstacle to his enhanced reflexes. The dragon gem provided navigation data, overlaying his vision with topographical information and the optimal route to the coastline. 2 minutes later, he burst from the tree line onto a cliffside overlook. The Pacific stretched before him, and rising from its depths like a mountain achieving consciousness came Ryu-O. The dragon Zord was magnificent. 300 feet of biomechanical perfection, signed after the great dragons of Ryujin mythology. Quadrupedal, heavily armored, with a serpentine neck that rose from massive shoulders. Wings, not for flight, something that large could never fly, T for energy projection and atmospheric manipulation. Golden scales caught the afternoon sun, each one a masterwork of crafted bio-steel. Red energy veins pulsed along its body, the same color as the dragon gem in Naruto's chest. Showing the active bond, water cascaded from Ryu-O's rising form. The ocean displaced by its emergence created swells already building into tsunami waves, racing toward the coastline with terrible inevitability. Naruto felt the Zord's confusion, its primal need to defend, and underneath, loneliness. It had been alone so long. Ryu-O, Naruto called, voice E. Nhanced with chakra to carry across the distance. Norval Zha. Mathish. I am here. Peace. The Zord's massive head swung toward him, eyes like molten gold focusing on the tiny figure atop the cliff. Recognition flooded through the bond. Joy, relief, desperate need for reassurance. Naruto didn't hesitate. He leapt from the cliff, 200 feet of empty air between him and the churning ocean below. As he fell, he drew deep on the dragon gem, feeling its power surge through every cell, and spoke the words he hadn't used in 65 million years. Ryujin Dragon Ranger, full synchronization. The transformation that had occurred in the quarry was nothing compared to this. Golden light enveloped him completely, building from the dragon gem outward in waves of pure power. The armor reconfigured, became more denser, stronger. Energy wings manifested fully, catching air and shaping his fall into a controlled dive. The dragon blade reformed, extending to 6 feet of crystalline bio-steel. Its edge capable of cutting through dimensional barriers. And the helmet, the full combat helmet this time, complete with dragon horn crown and energy vents along the jaw, sealed into place with a hiss of equalizing pressure. The Primordial Dragon Ranger, in his true form for the first time in an age of the world. Naruto landed on Ryuo's rising head with perfect precision, boots locking to the armor through magnetic chakra coupling. Immediately, he felt the Zord's consciousness fully, not words but emotions, impressions, the bond between Ranger and Zord that transcended language. Lost, confused. Where is everyone? Where is home? Naruto knelt, placing both hands on the warm bio-steel of his partner's armor, and opened his heart through the connection. Gone. All gone. We alone remain. The Zord's grief matched his own, 2 ancient warriors waking to a world that had forgotten them. For a long moment, they simply shared the pain, the loss, the crushing weight of being the last of their kind. Then Naruto spoke, voice gentle, in the tongue only Ryuo would understand. We endure. We adapt. We find new purpose in this new world. But first, old friend, we must end. Sure no innocents suffer for our awakening. The waves you've created threaten the city. Will you help me stop them? Ryuo rumbled, the sound resonating through his entire frame. Agreement. Purpose. Give me direction. Naruto stood, raising the dragon blade skyward. Ryuo. Atmospheric manipulation protocol. Full power to wing arrays. The Zord responded instantly. Those massive wings, each one larger than a battleship, extended fully. The red energy veins pulsed brighter, channeling power from the Dragon Zord's core reactor, a miniature star contained within layers of biomechanical shielding. The pinnacle of Ryujin engineering. Naruto added his own power to the mix, dragon gem blazing in his chest, chakra flowing through his connection to Ryuo and amplifying the Zord's natural abilities. Now, the wings moved, not in a flapping motion but in a precise geometric pattern, creating controlled air currents on a massive scale. Wind howled into existence, shaped and dire. CTED by Ryujin technology that made modern weather control look like a child's toy. The atmospheric pressure differential hit the approaching tsunami waves like an invisible wall. For 3 heartbeats, physics warred with itself. The momentum of thousands of tons of water against artificially generated high-pressure zones and precisely calibrated wind shear. Then the waves collapsed, their energy dissipated, breaking down into harmless swells that would reach the coast as nothing more than unusually high surf. Naruto felt Ryuo's satisfaction through the bond. Good. We protected them. Yes, Naruto agreed quietly. We did. Behind them, flying closer now, the Dino Ranger's airship approached cautiously. Naruto could sense their wariness, a massive Zord that had just demonstrated city destroying potential would naturally create concern. But he could also sense something else. Wonder, respect, and from Tommy Oliver specifically, understanding. This man had bonded with Zords before. He knew what it meant. Impressive. Tommy's voice came through the airship's external speakers. That was the most controlled Zord atmospheric manipulation I've ever witnessed. Naruto raised a hand in acknowledgement. Then spoke to Ryuo. Return to rest, old friend. Find a place in the deep ocean where you won't be disturbed. When I need you, I will call. The Zord's reluctance flowed through the bond. Stay together. Not alone again. Not alone, Naruto promised. Never alone. We are bonded, remember. I will always be with you, and you with me. But the surface world is not ready for your presence yet. Give me time to prepare them, to make this new world understand that you are a guardian, not a threat. Reluctant agreement. The Zord trusted him absolutely. Ryuo began to descend, sinking back into the ocean with far more control than his emergence had shown. Within 30 seconds, only ripples remained. Naruto stood on the water's surface, chakra keeping him buoyant, and deactivated his transformation. The full combat armor dissolved back into the dragon gem, leaving him in the basic form he'd awakened in, torn ancient clothing that had somehow survived the stasis, tribal markings on display. Blonde hair with red highlights stirring in the sea breeze. Exhaustion hit him suddenly. Using that much power fresh out of 65 million years of stasis probably wasn't his smartest decision. His knees buckled. The airship was there instantly, bay door opening, and hands, Connor's hands, catching him before he could fall into the ocean. "Whoa, easy there, ancient dude," Connor said, hauling Naruto aboard. "That was the most insane thing I've ever seen, and I fight dinosaur mutants for a living." Naruto managed a weak grin. "Your compliment is appreciated." Tommy knelt beside him as the airship stabilized. That level of Zord synchronization, the power control, the atmospheric manipulation, Haley was right. "You're not just another ranger. You're something else entirely. I am what you will become," Naruto said, fighting the gray creeping into his vision. "All rangers, given time and bonding. The Zord and Ranger is one being, perfect unity. My pay. Opal achieved it after decades of training. You have the potential. I sense it. Rest," Tommy ordered gently. "We'll get you to the base, run some medical scans, make sure that display didn't burn you out. Then we'll talk about everything." Naruto wanted to argue, to explain that there was so much to tell them, so much they needed to know about the threats that might still exist from his era. About Kurai and whether the seal would hold, about the techniques and knowledge he could share. But darkness claimed him, and for the first time in 65 million years, Naruto Uzumaki slept natural sleep. He woke to the hum of advanced technology and the scent of coffee. Naruto's eyes opened slowly, cataloging his surroundings with trained efficiency. Medical bay. Clean, well organized. Equipment that was simultaneously primitive compared to Ryujin technology and impressive for a civilization this young. Monitors displayed his vital signs. Someone had figured out how to his physiology despite it being fundamentally different from modern humans. "Welcome back to the land of the living." The voice came from his left. Naruto turned his head to find a woman sitting in a chair beside his bed. Laptop balanced on her knees, dark hair pulled back in a practical ponytail. She wore glasses that kept slipping down her nose as she worked, absently pushing them back up without looking away from her screen. Haley Zichter. He knew her from the Dragon Gem's downloaded information, but seeing her in person was different. "How long?" Naruto asked, voice rough. 6 hours, Haley replied, finally looking up. Her eyes were sharp, analytical, but not unkind. "You completely exhausted yourself. The energy expenditure from that atmospheric manipulation was equivalent to a full Ranger team's combined output. Your physiology is remarkable. You're already at 80% recovery. A modern human would be hospitalized for a week." Naruto sat up carefully. Someone had cleaned him up, put him in simple medical scrubs. His dragon gem still pulsed gently in his chest, visible through the thin fabric. "The others?" he asked, handling the aftermath. "Your little demon. Stration made the news. Mysterious golden light, disabled tyrannodrones, tsunami that mysteriously stopped itself. Cassidy Cornell is having a field day with speculation." Haley's lips quirked. "Tommy's doing damage control. Connor, Ethan, and Kira are on patrol in case Mesogog tries anything else." Silence fell, but not uncomfortable. Haley studied him with the gaze of someone solving a fascinating puzzle. While Naruto simply appreciated being around another person after an eternity of solitude. "You have questions," Naruto observed. "About 65 million of them," Haley admitted. "But I'll start with the important ones. The dragon gem in your chest. It's fused with your body on a cellular level. I've never seen anything like it. The integration is complete, permanent. You and that gem are functionally one organism now." Quote, "The eternal seal," Naruto explained. "To contain Kurai, I had to merge completely with the dragon gem, use its power as a prison. My body became the lock, the gem became the key. Neither can exist without the other now. Haley's fingers flew across her keyboard. Fascinating. And the language you spoke initially, my analysis suggests it has root structures that predate Indo-European, Sino-Tibetan, even Proto-World theoretical language families. You're literally speaking a tongue that's older than modern human language development. Ryujin, Naruto confirmed. The language of my people. It evolved over 300,000 years of civilization. We had a very long time to develop. 300,000 years, Haley repeated faintly. And then something destroyed you. Kurai, Naruto said, the name tasting like ash. The Void Emperor, an entity from beyond our dimension, consuming reality itself. My team and I managed to seal it, but the cost. He looked away. I was supposed to die with the technique. Instead, the dragon gem preserved me. Alone. Haley was quiet for a moment. Then, I'm sorry, I can't imagine waking up to find everything and everyone you knew just gone. Neither could I, Naruto admitted. But here I am, so I adapt. It is what Rangers do, yes. We face the impossible and find a way forward. Yeah, Haley agreed softly. That's exactly what we do. The door to the medical bay hissed open. Tommy entered, and behind him, Naruto's breath caught. The woman who followed Tommy into the room carried herself like a warrior. Athletic build, dark hair with subtle highlights, dressed casually but moving with the controlled grace of someone who'd spent years in combat. But it was her eyes that struck him, brown, warm, yet carrying depths of experience that rivaled Tommy's. A ranger, not active. He felt no gem signature, but unmistakably someone who had worn the mantle. Naruto Uzumaki, Tommy said formally. I'd like you to meet Kimberly Hart, former Mighty Morphin Pink Ranger, and one of the best rangers I've ever had the privilege to fight beside. Kimberly stepped forward, extending her hand with a smile that transformed her entire face. Tommy called me about a morphin grid anomaly. He undersold it, an actual prehistoric ranger. That's a new one, even for our lives. Naruto took her hand, noting her strong grip, and felt something unexpected, recognition. Not of her specifically, but of what she represented. A warrior who'd carried the weight of protecting her world, who'd made sacrifices. Who understood the cost of power. Someone who could comprehend what he'd lost and what he'd become. Kimberly Hart, Naruto said, his accent making her name sound exotic. It is an honor to meet a ranger of your legacy. Tommy speaks highly of you. Does he? Kimberly's eyebrow arched, lips quirking as she glanced at Tommy. That's sweet. Considering he broke up with me via letter. Tommy had the grace to look embarrassed. Kim, I'm kidding, Kimberly laughed. Mostly. We're good, Tommy. Ancient history. She turned back to Naruto. Though I have to say, you put our ancient history into perspective. 65 million years. I don't even have words. Neither do I, Naruto admitted. The concept still feels surreal. Haley looked between them. Analytical mind clearly working. Kimberly, you're here because Tommy thought you might benefit from talking to someone who understands the ranger experience but isn't currently active, Kimberly explained. Transition consultant. Basically, I help former rangers adjust to civilian life, process trauma, that kind of thing. Though I admit, this is the first time my client has been from the Cretaceous period. I appreciate the thought, Naruto said, but I am not certain I qualify as former ranger. The dragon gem is permanent. Active ranger. Then, Kimberly corrected easily. Why? CH means you'll need training in modern combat, cultural adaptation, probably a crash course in everything that's happened in the last 65 million years. Starting with the fact that mammals now run the planet. Haley added helpfully. Naruto blinked. Mammals. The small furry creatures that lived in burrows. We've come a long way, Tommy said with a slight smile. But Kimberly's right, you're going to need help adapting. And we're offering. The ranger community takes care of its own, no matter how temporally displaced they might be. Something warm unfurled in Naruto's chest. Community. Belonging. He'd thought that lost forever. I accept, he said quietly. And I offer my knowledge in return. I may be from your distant past, but I carry techniques, strategies, understand. Ding of the morphin grid that could benefit your modern rangers. Now that Haley said, eyes lighting up, is exactly what I was hoping you'd say. The research possibilities alone can wait until he's fully recovered. Kimberly interrupted gently but firmly. Haley, I know you're excited, but the man just woke up from a 65 million year nap and immediately had to stop a tsunami. Let him have a meal and a proper rest before you start picking his brain. Haley looked chagrined. Right, sorry, I get carried away. Never apologize for passion regarding your work, Naruto said. It reminds me of my friend Yuki. She could spend days discussing energy matrix theory without pause. I found it comforting. Familiar. His expression grew distant. I miss that. The room fell quiet, the weight of his loss palpable. Then Kimberly stood decisively. Okay, here's what's going to happen. Naruto, you're coming upstairs to Haley's cafe. We're going to introduce you to the Odin miracle that is a bacon cheeseburger and French fries. Then we're going to find you actual clothes that aren't medical scrubs. Then, if you're up for it, we start the cultural adaptation process. Sound good? Naruto considered. Food sounded excellent. The stasis had preserved him, but he hadn't eaten in geological ages. Modern clothing would be practical. And spending time with people who understood his situation, even partially. This sounds acceptable, he agreed. Though I must warn you, Ryujin dietary requirements are. You eat about 4 times what a normal human does and process it at accelerated rates. Haley interrupted, holding up her tablet showing his metabolic scans. Already figured that out. I've alerted the kitchen. Naruto smiled, genuine and surprised. You are efficient. I am thorough, Haley corrected. Different thing entirely. As they helped him to his feet. Unnecessary, but appreciated. Naruto felt the first stirrings of something he'd thought lost forever. Hope. This new world was strange, his people were gone, and he carried the weight of being the last of his kind. But here, in this hidden base with these rangers who'd accepted him without hesitation. Who offered help instead of fear. Perhaps he could build something new. Not a replacement for what he'd lost, that was impossible. But something worth protecting nonetheless. As they led him toward the elevator, Kimberly fell into step beside him. Fair warning, she said conversationally, the modern world is going to be overwhelming. Culture shock doesn't begin to cover it. And that happens. When it gets to be too much, you tell us. No shame in needing a break. All of us have been there in our own ways. Naruto looked at her, this warrior woman who carried her own scars with such grace, and nodded. I will remember. Thank you, Kimberly Hart. Kim, she corrected with a warm smile. My friends call me Kim. Then thank you, Kim. The elevator doors closed on the medical bay, rising toward the cafe above and the wider world beyond. Naruto Uzumaki, last of the Ryujin, the primordial dragon ranger, took his first steps into a future he'd never imagined. But he didn't take them alone. And that, he was learning, made all the difference. Chapter 1 End **# Chapter 2, Echoes of the Past. Kimberly Hart had learned to read people the way most read books, quickly, efficiently. Finding the story beneath the surface. 2 decades of ranger experience, gymnastics competitions where reading an opponent meant the difference between gold and silver, business negotiatio. NS for her athletic wear company where a misread expression could cost thousands, all of it had honed instincts sharper than any blade. Which was why, watching Naruto Uzumaki attempt to navigate the sea. Cyberspace Cafe's menu like it was a coded enemy transmission, she recognized something profoundly important. He was terrified, not of the menu, obviously. The man had stopped a tsunami single-handedly 6 hours ago. But of this, normalcy, civilization, the simple act of existing among people in a peaceful setting. His hands, steady when fighting tyrannodrones, trembled almost imperceptibly as he held the laminated menu. Those blue eyes that had blazed gold with draconic power kept darting to exits, windows, potential threat vectors. Combat readiness masquerading as calm. Kim knew that dance intimately. She'd performed it herself after returning from the Pan-Global Games, after giving up her power coin, after too many battles where friends nearly died. The body remembered war even when the mind craved peace. The chicken sandwich is good, she offered casually, not looking directly at him, giving him space to breathe. Haley makes this honey mustard sauce that's borderline addictive. Though if you're really hungry, the double bacon cheeseburger is basically a religious experience. Naruto's attention shifted to her, grateful for the guidance. Religious experience. This is metaphorical. Very, Kim confirmed, hiding her smile. Just means it's really, really good. Then I will trust your judgment. He set down the menu with visible relief. In my time, food was often live prepared through biosynthesis. Menus were not required. Haley emerged from behind the counter, notepad ready despite the cafe being empty. She'd closed early after Tommy's call, ensuring privacy. Biosynthesis. You mean like molecular reconstruction of base nutrients into finished dishes? Precisely, Naruto said, brightening at her understanding. We engineered plants and fungi to could process raw materials and produce nutritionally complete meals based on individual requirements. Very efficient. And completely tasteless, I'm guessing, Haley said dryly. Efficiency and flavor rarely coincide. Not entirely tasteless, Naruto protested. We had seasoning algorithms. Kim snorted. Seasoning algorithms. That's the saddest thing I've heard all week, and I sat my accountant explaining quarterly tax projections yesterday. The corner of Naruto's mouth twitched. You mock my civilization's culinary limitations. Your civilization rode giant robot dinosaurs and lived for hundreds of years. Kim countered. I think you can take some gentle ribbing about your food being boring. Fair assessment. Naruto's smile was small but genuine, and Kim felt absurdly pleased at drawing it out. I defer to your expertise in this new world's superior cuisine. Double bacon cheeseburger, fries, and a chocolate shake, Haley decided, scribbling. If you're going to enter the modern world, might as well start with the good stuff. Kim, same, but strawberry shake. And extra fries. Kim leaned back in her chair, studying Naruto more openly now. So, 65 million years. That's going to take some processing. Naruto's expression shuddered slightly. Yes, the single word carried volumes. Grief, loss, overwhelm carefully controlled. Kim recognized the walls slamming into place. The defensive retreat into stoicism. She'd built those same walls herself, brick by brick, after losing the Pink Ranger powers. After losing Tommy to Ranger duties that never ended. After learning that sometimes love wasn't enough when destiny kept calling. It's okay to not be okay, she said softly. I know we just met, and you probably think you need to be street wrong and stoic because that's what warriors do. But Naruto, everyone you ever knew is dead. Your entire civilization is gone. You're allowed to fall apart. Something flickered in those blue eyes. Surprise, maybe. Vulnerability quickly suppressed. Falling apart serves no purpose, Naruto replied, his accent thickening slightly. Stress response, Kim noted. I am the last. I must endure. Enduring and processing aren't mutually exclusive. Kim kept her voice gentle but firm. Trust me, I've tried the just push through it method. Doesn't work. The grief catches up eventually, usually at the worst possible time. Haley returned with their drinks, setting the glasses down quietly before retreating to give them space. Smart woman. Naruto stared at his chocolate shake like it might attack him. You drink it, Kim demonstrated, taking a sip of her strawberry shake. Through the straw, its ice cream blended with milk. Very cold, very sweet, objectively delicious. He tried it cautiously, eyes widening. This is extremely cold. Brain freeze in 3, 2, Kim counted down. Naruto's face contorted. Ow, why does my head hurt? Brain freeze, Kim explained, trying not to laugh. You drank too fast. Sip slowly. Give your mouth time to adjust to the temperature. Your modern world has weaponized dessert, Naruto accused, but tried again, more carefully. Though the flavor is, admittedly exceptional. Better than seasoning algorithms, significantly. They sat in comfortable silence, and Kim watched him slowly relax, the shaken normalcy of the moment easing some of the combat tension from his frame. Good. He needed this. Simple human connection without the weight of expectations or world-ending threats. Can I ask you something? Kim ventured after a few minutes. You may ask. I reserve the right to not answer. Fair. When you woke up and realized how much time had passed, what was the first thing you thought? Naruto was quiet for a long moment, absently turning his glass in circles on the table. When he spoke, His voice was barely above a whisper. I thought that the sacrifice had been worth it. That my team and I succeeded, that we saved our world. He paused. Then I thought that I wished I had died with them. That waking up alone was a punishment I had not earned. Kim's chest tightened. And now, Naruto looked at her directly. Now I am here, drinking weaponized dessert with a stranger who treats me like a person rather than an artifact. I find this better than the alternative. Just better. Kim challenged gently. I am still adjusting to the concept of now existing at all, Naruto admitted. Better is significant progress from this morning. Okay, that's fair. Kim raised her glass. To better, then. And to progress, however it comes. Quote. Naruto clinked his glass against hers, the gesture uncertain but willing. To better. The cafe door chimed. Tommy entered, followed by someone Kim didn't recognize. A Japanese-American woman in her early 30s, dressed in professional but practical clothing, carrying a worn leather satchel that practically screamed, academic. Sorry to interrupt, Tommy said, not sounding sorry at all. But I think we found something important. Kim, Naruto, this is Dr. Akira Matsumoto. She's the head of Paleocultural Studies at Reefside Museum. The woman, Akira, stepped forward, and Kim noticed her hands shaking slightly as she stared at Naruto. Not fear, excitement barely restrained. Dr. Matsumoto, Naruto greeted, rising politely. The markings on your shoulders, Akira blurted, then seemed to catch herself. I apologize. That was rude, but I've spent 15 years studying those exact symbols, and I couldn't have imagined. She stopped, took a breath. May I see them clearly? Naruto glanced at Kim, who nodded encouragingly. He pulled aside the medical scrub sleeve, revealing the tribal markings that flowed across his shoulder and down his arm. They weren't tattoos, Kim realized. They were part of his skin, slightly raised, with a faint luminescence that suggested more than mere decoration. Akira pulled out her phone, hands still trembling, and flipped through images. She held one up beside Naruto's arm. Perfect match. This photograph was taken 3 months ago, Akira said, voice tight with emotion. From a dig site in Mongolia. The symbols are carved into bedrock dated to 67 million years ago. We've found similar markings in 17 sites across 6 continents. My entire career has been dedicated to proving these weren't natural formations. That they represented an unknown prehistoric civilization. She looked at Naruto with tears in her eyes. You're real. They were all real. I've been called a crackpot, had funding pulled, been laughed out of conferences, but I was right. Naruto's expression softened. Dr. Matsumoto. Akira, please. Akira, your dedication honors my people's memory. That our legacy survived even as markings in stone. He touched the symbols on his arm. These tell the story of the first bonding. When Ranger and Zord became one. They are sacred to the Ryujin. I have so many questions, Akira whispered. The crystal formations we've found, the energy signatures, the mathematical patterns in the symbol arrangements. Can wait until after lunch, Haley interrupted, emerging with 2 enormous plates. Akira, you want anything? Coffee. Very strong. Akira sat down without looking away from Naruto. Actually, make it a pot. Kim caught Tommy's eye, silently asking if this was okay. He nodded. Akira's presence here was deliberate. Tommy had brought her for a reason. The museum has artifacts, Tommy explained, taking a seat. Pieces we've recovered from various sites that don't fit any known technological framework. Akira's been studying them for years. If anyone can help translate or understand what you're dealing with, Naruto, it's her. Translation, Naruto repeated thoughtfully. Yes, I would like to know what records remain. What stories survived. Then eat first, Kim ordered, pushing his plate closer. Trust me, everything's easier on a full stomach. The bacon cheeseburger did live up to its reputation. Kim watched with amusement as Naruto's eyes widened at the first bite, his entire face transforming with surprised delight. This is exceptional, he declared around a mouthful. Chew and swallow before talking, Kim chided automatically, then blinked. Sorry, former gymnastics coach instincts. No, you are correct. My mentor would scold me similarly. Naruto swallowed properly. Master Ryoko demanded proper etiquette even in casual settings. She said discipline in small things built discipline in large ones. Smart woman, Kim said. The smartest I ever knew. Sadness flickered across his face. She was ancient even by our standards, 400 years old when she took me as student. Her knowledge was immeasurable. Akira pulled out a notebook. Already scribbling. 400 years. The lifespan estimates in my research suggested enhanced longevity, but I had no proof. Akira, Tommy said gently. Right, after lunch. Sorry, but she kept the notebook out. They ate in companionable silence for a while, Kim noting how Naruto demolished the massive burger and fries like a man starving, which, technically, he was. His metabolism must be insane. So, Kim said eventually, what's the plan? We can't keep Naruto hidden in the Dino lab forever. No, Tommy agreed, which is why I've been making calls. We need to establish a legal identity, at minimum. Documentation, citizenship, everything required to exist in the modern world. How do you fake a birth certificate for someone born 65 million years ago? Kim asked. Very carefully, Tommy said dryly. I've got contacts in the government who owe Ranger teams favors. It'll take time, but we can make it work. In the interim, Haley added, he stays at the base. We've got living quarters, he'll have everything he needs, and it's secure. Naruto set down his glass. I appreciate this. All of you are being remarkably generous to a stranger. You're not a stranger, Tommy corrected. You're a ranger. That makes you family, temporally displaced or not. Kim saw the impact those words had, Naruto's careful control cracking just slightly. Emotion bleeding through, family, connection, belonging, things he'd thought lost forever. I should warn you, Naruto said quietly, my presence may attract danger. Kurai is sealed, but if any remnants of the Void Cult survived, they would sense the Dragon Gem's reactivation. And there were other threats in my time. Ancient enemies that may have also endured. Then we deal with them, Kim said firmly. Together. That's how this works. You speak with such certainty. Because I've lived it. Kim met his eyes directly. Rangers protect each other. It's not complicated. Naruto studied her for a long moment. Something shifting in his expression. Recognition, maybe, understanding. You have known loss, he said, not a question. Everyone has. No, I mean specific loss. Ranger loss. I can see it in how you carry yourself. The weight, the guilt, the strength built from surviving what should have broken you. His voice gentled. You understand what I feel because you have felt it yourself. Kim's breath caught. No one had read her that accurately in years, seen through her practiced confidence to the scars beneath. Yeah, she admitted. I do. Then perhaps, Naruto said carefully. We can help each other carry it. Before Kim could respond, alarms blared throughout the cafe. Haley was moving instantly, laptop open, fingers flying across keys. Morphin grid disturbance at the museum. Big one. Multiple contacts. High energy signatures. Shit, these readings are similar to Naruto's Dragon Gem frequency. Tommy was already standing. Mesogog. No, Haley said grimly. These are different. More chaotic. Less organized but individually more powerful. Akira's face went pale. The museum. Oh god, the artifact vault. Is exactly what they're after. Naruto finished, rising smoothly. Remnants seeking Ryujin technology. I feared this. How did they find it so fast? Kim demanded. Because I awakened. Naruto's expression was grim. The doctor. Agon Gem's reactivation would send ripples through the Morphin grid. Any who knew what to look for could track it. And if they studied the old ways, they would know that where a ranger awakens, artifacts of power often remain nearby. Tommy was already on his communicator. Connor, Ethan, Kira, museum. Now, we've got incoming hostiles. He looked at Naruto. Can you fight? You pushed yourself pretty hard earlier. I can fight, Naruto confirmed. The question is whether you want me to reveal myself publicly. Might not have a choice, Tommy said. Akira, you know the museum layout. Fastest route to the artifact vault. East wing, through the Mesozoic exhibit, down the research stairs. Akira was already moving toward the door. I'm coming with you. Absolutely not, Tommy started. Those artifacts are my responsibility. Akira cut him off. I know every piece, every security measure, every hidden passage in that building. You need me. Kim saw Tommy calculating, saw him recognize the truth. Fine, but you stay behind the Rangers at all times. Kim, already going, Kim confirmed, following Akira. I may not have my powers anymore, but I can still kick ass when required. Tommy looked like he wanted to argue but knew better. Haley, monitor from here. Guide us in. Naruto, I will protect them, Naruto said simply. All of them. This I vow. The certainty in his voice sent shivers down Kim's spine. This was the Dragon Ranger speaking, the warrior who'd faced impossible odds and won, who'd sacrificed everything to save his world. She was really glad he was on their side. They piled into Tommy's jeep, Naruto staring at the vehicle with barely concealed fascination. This is primitive but functional, he observed. Welcome to the modern world, Kim said, buckling her seatbelt. We make up for technological limitations with mass production and fossil fuels. Fossil fuels. Naruto's expression turned incredulous. You burn the compressed remains of ancient life for energy. When you put it that way, it sounds terrible. Because it is terrible, the inefficiency alone. Focus, people, Tommy interrupted, pulling into traffic with Ranger-honed speed. Haley, status. Contacts are inside the museum, Haley's voice came through the speakers. 6 distinct energy signatures, all converging on the artifact vault. Security's been neutralized, non-lethally. Looks like, and they've sealed the East Wing. Smooth operation, professional execution. Not random thugs, then, Kim muttered. No, Naruto agreed. These are trained, organized. They know exactly what they seek. He paused. I should morph before we arrive. The dragon armor will be necessary. Do it, Tommy said. Kim watched, fascinated, as Naruto placed his hand over the dragon gem in his chest. The transformation was nothing like the Ranger morphs she remembered, no flash of light, no dramatic sequence. Instead, the armor seemed to grow from the gem itself, spreading across his body like living crystal. Golden and radiant and utterly beautiful. When it completed, the primordial dragon ranger sat beside her, and Kim felt the raw power radiating from him like heat from a furnace. Okay, she breathed. That's impressive. Thank you. Naruto's voice came through the helmet, slightly modulated but still recognizably his. Your ranger's transformations are equally remarkable. Different methodology, but the end result serves the same purpose, warrior and power becoming one. The museum came into view, its modern architecture sharp against the afternoon sky. No visible disturbance from outside, but Kim's instincts screamed danger. They parked in the loading zone. Akira already had her access card out, leading them to a service entrance. This bypasses the main security checkpoints. Direct access to the research wing. Inside, the museum was eerily quiet. Emergency lights cast everything in red-tinged shadows. No alarms blaring. They'd been disabled. Professional is right, Kim murmured. Falling into combat-ready stance automatically. They've shut down everything. Naruto moved ahead, steps silent despite the armor. Kim noticed how he placed each foot, how he kept his profile minimal. How his head tracked potential threats. This wasn't just trained. This was instinctive, decades or centuries of combat experience made manifest. Movement, he whispered. Ahead. 3 signatures. Waiting in ambush. How can you? Akira started. The dragon gem senses life energy, Naruto explained softly. Anything with a heartbeat within 50 meters, I can feel. Your rangers have similar capabilities when morphed, yes. Not quite that precise, Tommy admitted. Your technology is more advanced. Different, Naruto corrected. Not better, merely different. They rounded the corner into the Mesozoic exhibit, massive dinosaur skeletons looming overhead. Kim had always loved this room, the majesty of creatures long extinct, the reminder that Earth had hosted countless forms of life across its history. Now those skeletons cast ominous shadows, perfect cover for ambush. Show yourselves, Naruto called out, voice carrying easily through the space. I know you are here. You seek Ryujin artifacts. You will not claim them. Laughter echoed from multiple directions. The Dragon Ranger awakens, a woman's voice responded. The prophecies were true. How delightful. 3 figures dropped from the upper gallery, landing with grace that spoke of enhanced abilities. They wore dark combat suits integrated with technology that made Haley's Ranger gear look primitive. Each bore symbols that made Naruto stiffen. Void cult, he hissed. Kurai's servants, you survived. The woman who'd spoken smiled, pulling off her helmet. She was striking. Severe features, ice blonde hair. Eyes that held fanatical certainty. Not merely survived, Dragon Ranger. We evolved. 65 million years is considerable time for adaptation. While you slept, we prepared. Prepared for what? Tommy demanded, moving to flank Naruto. For his return, the woman said. Kurai the Void Emperor was sealed, not destroyed. Your sacrifice, noble as it was, merely delayed the inevitable. And we have spent millennia ensuring that when he returns, he will find a universe ready for his glory. You're insane, Kim stated flatly. We are enlightened, the woman corrected. I am Mira, High Priestess of the Void. My companions are Tarek and Shen, Void Knights. We've come for the resonance crystals stored in this museum's vault, Ryujin power cells that will help accelerate our master's resurrection. Quote, you will leave empty-handed, Naruto said, dragon blade materializing in his hand. Will we? Myra's smile widened. You're weakened, Dragon Ranger. Fresh from stasis, not yet fully recovered. While we have trained for this confrontation across countless generations, you cannot stop us. He won't have to, Kim said, stepping forward. He's got backup. Myra's gaze dismissed her. An unpowered human. How quaint. That was her first mistake. Kim moved like lightning, closing the distance before Mira could react, and delivered a spinning kick that would have made her gymnastics coach weep with pride. Mira barely blocked, surprise flickering across her face. Unpowered doesn't mean helpless, Kim said, following with a combination she'd learned from Jason Lee Scott himself, brutal. Efficient. Devastating. The Void Knights engaged simultaneously. Tarek went for Tommy, who morphed mid-step, the Black Dino Ranger meeting enhanced cultist with Ranger-powered strike. Shen targeted Akira, but Naruto was there instantly, Dragon Blade intercepting the attack with a shower of sparks. Protect Akira, Naruto ordered Tommy. I will handle these two. 2 against 1, Shen laughed. Yes, Naruto agreed. Unfair odds. For you. He moved like a force of nature, Dragon Blade weaving patterns that caught both Void Knights simultaneously, forcing them onto the defensive. Kim, peripherally aware of the fight while managing her own, saw the sheer skill involved. Naruto wasn't overpowering them with raw strength but outthinking them, reading their moves before they made them. Turning their coordination against them. Mira, meanwhile, was proving more challenging than Kim anticipated. Enhanced speed, strength, combat training that rivaled any ranger Kim had fought beside. But Kim had 2 decades of experience, had trained with the best, and she'd learned long ago that raw power meant nothing against proper technique. She caught Myra's strike, redirected it, used the momentum to throw the taller woman into a display case. Glass shattered. Alarms finally began blaring, secondary systems kicking in. You fight well for a relic, Mira spat, rising. Relic, Kim grinned. Honey, I'm a classic. They clashed again, and this time Kim felt Myra's rhythm, found the pattern in her attacks. There, overextension on the right hook. Compensation with the left. Predictable. Kim swept her legs, dropped her, and had her in an armlock before Mira could recover. Tommy, Kim called. Got one. But Mira laughed. You think you've won. We're merely the distraction. The floor beneath them exploded. Kim threw herself backward, losing her grip on Mira, as more Void cultists erupted from below. 6 more, at least, all heading for the research stairs. The vault, Akira screamed. Naruto disengaged from the Void Knights with a powerful chakra burst that sent them flying. Go. Protect the artifacts. I will hold them here. You can't fight all of them alone. Tommy protested. I am the Dragon Ranger, Naruto said calmly. Watch me. Golden energy exploded outward, the dragon gem blazing like a star. Naruto's armor reconfigured, became denser, more aggressive. The spectral wings manifested fully, casting dragon-shaped shadows across the walls. Ryujin Dragon Ranger, combat configuration. The transformation completed, N.D. The being standing before them was pure predatory power. I will give you 30 seconds, Naruto said, his voice layered with harmonics that suggested the dragon Zord itself spoke through him. Use them wisely. Tommy didn't argue further. He grabbed Akira. Kim grabbed her bag of research materials, and they ran for the stairs. Behind them, Naruto engaged 9 void cultists simultaneously. The sounds of battle were spectacular. He's going to get himself killed, Kim panted as they descended. No, Akira said, surprising them both. He won't. Did you see his eyes? That's a man who's already lost everything. He's got nothing left to fear, which makes him the most dangerous person in that room. She was right, Kim realized. Naruto fought with the freedom of someone who'd already made peace with death. They burst into the artifact vault, and Kim's breath caught. The room was enormous, filled with cases containing objects that ranged from mundane-looking stones to clearly technological devices that pulsed with internal light. Every piece hummed with barely contained energy, the ambient power making Kim's skin prickle. The resonance crystals are in the back, Akira said, running deeper into the vault. We have to. Oh no. A section of the far wall had been cut open, precise and clean. Professional work. Inside, 3 empty cases. They already got them, Tommy said grimly. This whole attack was a diversion, Kim finished. Keep us busy while the real team grabbed what they needed. Haley's voice crackled through Tommy's communicator. Tommy, I'm detecting an energy surge from the museum's north wing. Big one. They're teleporting out. Can you trace them? Already trying. But, damn, they've got scramblers. I've lost them. Tommy slammed his fist against a display case. Mesogog and now void cultists. Perfect. Wait, Akira said, moving to a terminal. The security cameras. If they cut into the vault, we'll have footage, we can see who. She pulled up the video files, scrolled back. There. 20 minutes ago. The screen showed 2 figures in advanced stealth suits, working with practiced efficiency to cut through the wall. One was clearly in charge, directing the operation with hand signals. When they finished and turned toward the camera, Kim's blood ran cold. The lead figure pulled off their helmet. Cassidy Cornell. That's, Akira started. A local reporter. Tommy finished, voice tight. She's been investigating Ranger activity for years. We knew she was ambitious, but working with void cultists. Maybe she doesn't know what they are, Kim suggested. Could be using her, feeding her false information about ancient power sources or the story of the century. Or she knows exactly what she's doing, Tommy countered. Explosions from above shook the vault. Naruto was still fighting. We need to help him, Kim said, already moving toward the stairs. They emerged into chaos. The Mesozoic exhibit was destroyed, skeletons toppled. Display cases shattered. Naruto stood in the center of the devastation, surrounded by unconscious cultists. His armor was scored with damage but holding. He spotted them, deactivated his helmet. Blood trickled from his nose. They are skilled, he said conversationally, like he hadn't just fought 9 enhanced opponents. But skill means little against experience measured in centuries. Then his eyes rolled back and he collapsed. Kim caught him before he hit the ground, surprised by how heavy the armor was. Naruto. Damn it, you pushed too hard. Did we win? He mumbled, barely conscious. You survived, which counts, Kim said. Tommy, we need to get him out of here. Now. Police sirens wailed in the distance. Museum security would be recovering soon. They couldn't be found here. Service exit, Akira directed. This way, quickly. They half-carried, half-dragged Naruto back the way they'd come. His armor began to dematerialize, retreating into the dragon gem, leaving him in the medical scrubs again. Vulnerable, human. By the time they reached the jeep, Connor, Ethan, and Kira had arrived, their own battle with Tyrannodrones at the waterfront complete. What the hell happened here? Connor demanded, taking in Naruto's unconscious form. Void cultists, stolen artifacts, and Cassidy Cornell apparently working with ancient evil, Kim summarized. You know, Tuesday. Cassidy, Kira repeated. No way, she's ambitious, but she's not evil. Security footage says otherwise, Tommy said grimly. We'll sort it out later. Right now, we need to get Naruto back to base and medical attention. The drive back was tense. Kim held Naruto's head in her lap, monitoring his breathing, feeling his pulse. Strong and steady, despite everything. His eyes moved beneath closed lids, dreaming. Maybe. Or remembering. You're something else, she murmured, knowing he couldn't hear. Facing down 9 opponents to protect people you just met. That's either incredibly brave or incredibly stupid. His hand twitched, fingers brushing hers. Kim laced their fingers together, offering comfort even in unconsciousness. Behind them, Akira clutched her research bag, filled with notes and photographs. This changes everything, she whispered. If Void cultists survived, if they're actively working to resurrect this Kurai entity. Then we stop them, Tommy said flatly. Same as we stop every threat. Together. At the base, Haley had medical equipment ready. They transferred Naruto carefully, and as Kim stepped back to give Haley space, she felt the A.B. sense of his hand in hers like a physical loss. He'll be okay, Haley assured her. Severe chakra depletion, basically. His body's already recovering. Accelerated healing is remarkable. Good, Kim said. That's good. You care about him, Haley observed. Already. That was fast. I recognize him, Kim corrected. What he's been through, what he's lost, what he carries. I know that weight, and I know how dangerous it is to carry it alone. So you're appointing yourself his, what? Emotional support ranger. Friend, Kim said firmly. I'm being his friend. Something tells me he needs those more than he needs another soldier. Hours passed. The team debriefed, analyzed the stolen artifacts, tried to track Cassidy without success. Akira integrated into the group seamlessly, our knowledge of Ryujin history proving invaluable. As night fell, Kim found herself sitting beside Naruto's bed again, watching monitors she barely understood. His eyes opened, golden in the dim light. You stayed, he said, voice rough. Someone had to make sure you didn't do anything else stupid, Kim replied. Fighting 9 enhanced cultists solo definitely qualifies. I have fought worse odds. That's not actually reassuring. Quote, Naruto's smile was faint but real. Kimberly Hart, warrior without powers who fights anyway. I think you may be the bravest person I have met in this new world. Kim's breath caught. I do what needs doing. As do all true warriors. Naruto's hand found hers, squeezed gently. Thank you. For staying. For fighting beside me. For treating me as. He paused. As someone worth knowing, beyond the power I carry. You are worth knowing, Kim said softly. Power's got nothing to do with it. They sat in companionable silence, hands linked. 2 warriors who understood the cost of heroism in ways words couldn't capture. Outside the medical bay, Haley watched through the window and smiled. Maybe the ancient dragon ranger had found exactly what he needed in this new world. Not just allies, but connection. Chapter 2 and Chapter 3, Convergence of Elements. Dawn breaks differently over the Savannah Hope Wildlife Preservation Center. Aisha Campbell learned this truth 15 years ago when she first purchased the 40-acre property straddling Reefside's northern boundary. The light doesn't merely arrive, it announces itself. Gold spilling across rescue habitats where injured raptors recover flight. Amber washing over rehabilitation ponds where rescued sea turtles rediscover their strength. Bronze illuminating the sanctuary's centerpiece. A carefully maintained ecosystem hosting the descendants of creatures that once ruled this continent. This morning, however, dawn brings wrongness. Aisha stands barefoot in dewy grass. Yoga routine abandoned halfway through her sun salutation, watching her animals behave in ways that contradict 15 years of behavioral observation. The red-tailed hawks, solitary hunters, fiercely territorial, have gathered in a collective roost, 17 birds where there should be competitive isolation. The rescued alligators, typically lethargic until mid-morning warmth activates their metabolism, pace their habitat's perimeter with agitated purpose. Even the tortoises, patient as stone, cluster together near the habitat's eastern edge, all facing the same direction. Toward the ocean. This doesn't make sense, Aisha murmurs, approaching the raptor enclosure. The birds don't scatter at her presence, unusual in itself, but instead orient toward her with uncanny synchronization. Watching, waiting, expecting something. Her phone vibrates. Text message from Tommy Oliver, 3 words that make her pulse quicken. Need you. Urgent. Aisha's history with Urgent Ranger summons spans 2 decades. She recognizes the weight behind Tommy's terseness, the specific quality of crisis that requires her particular skills. Not combat. He has active rangers for that. Something else. Something that needs her perspective. Her knowledge. Her connection to the natural world that no other ranger quite matches. She's in her truck within 5 minutes, but not before pausing at the habitat containing her most recent rescue, a young golden eagle with a healing wing fracture. The bird watches her with those impossibly intense eyes, and Aisha could swear it knows. Understands that she's leaving to confront whatever has disrupted the delicate balance. I'll fix this, she promises. Whatever's wrong, I'll make it right. The eagle mantles its wings, awkward with the splint, but the gesture is clear. We trust you. Asterisk. Reefside's downtown passes in a blur of morning commuters and coffee shops opening for business. Normal. Mundane. Yet Aisha feels the undercurrent of wrongness. Lick. Static electricity before a thunderstorm. The ambient energy tastes different, sharper, older, carrying resonances that make her ranger instincts prickle with recognition despite never encountering this specific signature before. Ancient power, recently awakened. Cyberspace Cafe appears closed from the outside, but the door's unlocked. Aisha enters to find organized chaos, Haley surrounded by computer equipment that definitely wasn't here during Aisha's last visit, Tommy conferring with Connor over a holographic display, and 2 people she doesn't recognize. One is clearly academic, Japanese-American woman in her 30s. Animated discussion about crystalline matrix structures, with Haley suggesting professor or researcher. The other sits quietly at a corner table, and Aisha's breath catches because she knows him despite impossibility. Tribal markings visible along his arms. Blonde hair with distinctive red highlights that aren't dyed, she can tell from here, but natural, integrated into the hair's structure. Blue eyes that hold depths suggesting centuries rather than decades. He's dressed in borrowed clothes that don't quite fit, posture simultaneously relaxed and combat-ready. Attention tracking everyone in the room with the effortless awareness of an apex predator. Ranger. Undoubtedly Ranger. But wrong somehow, or not wrong but different, like hearing a familiar song in an ancient language. He notices her attention, meets her eyes directly, and Aisha feels the impact like touching a live wire. Power. Profound. Bone deep, the kind that comes from complete integration rather than external gifting. Aisha Campbell, Tommy says, relief evident. Thank God. We need your expertise. On what, exactly? Aisha doesn't break eye contact with the stranger. And, who's your friend with the interesting energy signature? The stranger stands, movements fluid as water. Naruto Uzumaki, formerly of the Ryujin civilization. Currently attempting to understand he coffee machine makes sounds suggesting imminent explosion. His accent is fascinating. Not quite anything she can place, with phonetic structures that feel deliberately constructed rather than naturally acquired. The dragon gem embedded in his chest, visible through his thin shirt, pulses with each heartbeat. 65 million years old, Aisha says, not asking. The anomaly my animals are responding to. You woke up something ancient. Naruto's eyebrows rise. Your animals sense this. Everything with functional instincts senses it. Aisha finally moves fully into the room, noting how everyone's attention has shifted to her. 3 days ago, migration patterns changed across 6 species I monitor. Birds abandoning established routes, marine life concentrating in unusual formations, predator-prey dynamics shifting toward cooperative behaviors of never documented. I've been trying to figure out the cause: environmental toxin, magnetic field disruption, something in the water. She gestures toward Naruto. Turns out it's you. I apologize for disrupting your work, Naruto says seriously. Don't apologize. Help me understand. Aisha approaches him directly, and interesting. He doesn't retreat or defensive posture. Just waits, patient as her tortoises. The energy you're putting out, it's affecting animal behavior on a massive scale. That suggests either immense power or a specific frequency they're evolutionarily programmed to recognize. Both, actually, Haley interjects. Naruto's dragon gem operates on frequencies that predate modern morphin grid standardization. His energy signature is closer to what Earth's biosphere would have encountered during the Cretaceous period. Animals with ancestral memory might be responding to what amounts to a primal ranger frequency. Dinosaurs. Aisha breathes. Your people coexisted with dinosaurs. Bonded with them, according to what Tommy told me on the phone. And modern animals, descendants of those species, are recognizing that bond's echo. Naruto's expression shifts to surprised respect. You understand quickly. Yes, the Ryujin worked closely with the great Saurians. We built our civilization alongside them, learned from them, eventually developed the technology to merge our strengths. The Dragon Zord is not merely a machine. It is a partner, evolved from biological origins. Biomechanical integration, Aisha says, mind racing. Not controlling animals but collaborating with them. That's why my raptors are gathering. They're responding to ancient pack dynamics, recognizing an alpha signature they shouldn't remember but somehow do. Can you show me? Naruto asks, genuine interest lighting his features. These animals who remember, I would very much like to meet descendants of my people's companions. Something in Aisha's chest warms at his phrasing. Not curiosities to study, companions to honor. I can do better than show you, she says, decision made. Come to my sanctuary. Spend time with them. If what I suspect is true, direct exposure to you might help me understand what's happening and how to keep them calm. That's actually why I called you, Tommy admits. Beyond the animal behavior issue, which is becoming a problem as more people notice, we need someone who understands the spiritual and natural aspects of Ranger power. Naruto's connection to ancient Earth is beyond anything I've experienced. Thought you might provide perspective. Aisha looks at the former Yellow Ranger, still Ranger really, that never quite leaves, and sees his genuine concern. For Naruto, yes, but also for the broader implications. When do we leave? She asks. The drive to Savannah Hope should take 20 minutes. Aisha makes it in 12, Naruto quiet in the passenger seat, watching Mo. Dern, California scroll past with the focused attention of someone cataloging differences between memory and reality. This used to be ocean, he says suddenly, gesturing at a shopping plaza. Shallow sea, warm, filled with ammonites the size of wagon wheels. We would dive there, my training cohort and I. See who could retrieve the largest shell without surfacing. Aisha glances at him, at the distant sadness in his profile. Must be strange, seeing how much has changed. Strange does not begin to encompass it. Naruto's hand absently touches his chest, the dragon gem beneath. I walked these lands when they were unrecognizable. Jungles where there is now desert. Vast inland seas where there are now mountains. And the people, he stops. Everyone I knew was dust. Less than dust. Their Uri bones have been compressed into stone or eroded into nothing. But their legacy survived, Aisha counters gently. You survived. That matters. Does it? I begin to wonder if my survival serves purpose or merely extends suffering. Aisha pulls into Savannah Hope's entrance, kills the engine, turns to face him fully. Listen to me, Naruto Uzumaki. I don't know you yet, but I know Rangers. I know what it means to carry power and responsibility. And I know that survival always matters, even when it hurts. Especially when it hurts. Because that pain means you're still here to make a difference. His eyes meet hers, so blue, so ancient, so tired. You speak from experience, he observes. I gave up my power coin to help a village in Africa access clean water, Aisha says. Left my team, my friends, my ranger family because it was the right choice. Spent years wondering if I'd made a mistake, if I should have found another way, if my ranger days ending meant I'd failed somehow. 2. Came me a long time to understand that being a ranger isn't about the power. It's about the choice to protect, to serve, to stand up when standing up is hard. You made that choice 65 million years ago. You're making it again now. That's what matters. Naruto is very still, processing her words with the weight they deserve. Then, thank you, Aisha Campbell. I believe I needed to hear that wisdom. Good. Now come meet my family and try not to cause a stampede. She leads him through the sanctuary's main gates, immediately aware of how every animal present has oriented toward Naruto's position. The hawks watch from their roosts. The alligators have congregated at their habitat's viewing area. Even the tortoises, patient, ancient tortoises, have positioned themselves for optimal sightlines. Oh, Naruto whispers. Oh, they are magnificent. His expression has transformed completely. Wonder, joy, the tired sadness replaced by something young and bright and healing. May I? He gestures toward the raptor enclosure. Normally I'd say absolutely not. These are wild animals, dangerous despite rehabilitation, but I have a feeling normal rules don't apply here. Aisha opens the enclosure's access gate. Something she'd never do with a civilian, barely does herself. Naruto enters slowly, respectfully, and the hawks don't scatter. Instead, they descend from their roosts in a coordinated movement that makes Aisha's scientific mind scream because raptors don't do this. Naruto kneels, extending one hand, and speaks in a language that predates human linguistic evolution. Flowing, syllables that feel more like music than words, carrying harmonics that resonate in Aisha's chest despite not understanding the literal meaning. The largest hawk, a mature red-tail Aisha calls Ember, for her rust-colored plumage, lands on his forearm without hesitation. No protective gear, no jesses, just wild raptor and ancient ranger regarding each other with mutual respect. "Hello, little sister," Naruto murmurs in English. "You carry the legacy of the great skydancers in your blood. I am honored to meet you." Ember mantles her wings, chirps, actually chirps asterisk, a sound Aisha has never heard from this particular bird, and settles into his arm like she's found home. The other hawks follow. Within minutes, Naruto is surrounded by 17 raptors, all calm, all focused on him with the intensity they'd normally reserve for prey. Aisha's phone is out, filming, because no one will believe this without documentation. "Naruto," she calls softly. "What are you doing?" Speaking to them in the old tongue, he replies. Not looking away from the birds. Telling them they are remembered. That the Ryujin honor their ancestors. That the bond between raptor and ranger endures across ages of the world. They shouldn't understand language. They understand intention, emotion, the energy beneath words. Language is merely the vehicle. Connection is what matters. He stands slowly, carefully, and the hawks take flight, circling him in a spiral pattern that looks choreographed. Beautiful. Impossible. In my time, Naruto explains, watching the aerial display, we learn to synchrony. Z with the great Saurians not through dominance but through understanding. We studied their communication, their social structures, their relationship to the world. Made ourselves part of their ecosystem rather than masters over it. Symbiosis, Aisha says, coloring her voice. True partnership. Yes. The hawks complete their pattern, return to their roosts, and settle as if the last 10 minutes never happened. But Aisha sees the difference in their posture. Calmer, more centered. You healed them, she realizes. Whatever disruption your awakening caused, being near you, having you acknowledge them, it fixed the behavioral issues. I reminded them they are not alone, Naruto corrects. That there exists power in this world which remembers and honors their legacy. Sometimes, had knowledge is enough to restore balance. Aisha studies him, this warrior from an impossible past who speaks to birds in dead languages and carries grief like armor, and feels something shift in her understanding. He's not just powerful, he's connected in ways modern rangers have forgotten or never learned. Ways she's tried to cultivate her entire life. Come on, she says. The alligators need to meet you. And grandmother, she's a desert tortoise, older than I've been alive, she's going to love you. They spend the morning moving through Savannah Hope's habitats. Every animal responds to Naruto's presence with the same pattern. Initial recognition, approach, calm. The alligators allow him to touch their heads, something Aisha would never attempt. The sea turtles surface when he kneels by their pond. Even the snakes, rescued from illegal pet trade, win through his fingers like living jewelry. This is your life's work, Naruto observes, watching a young fox kit play near its enclosure den. Protecting those who cannot protect themselves. Healing the wounded. Preserving the wild in a world that has mostly forgotten wildness. Someone has to, Aisha says. Too many people see animals as resources or entertainment. I see them as family. As partners in keeping Earth's balance. You would have been welcome among the Ryujin, Naruto says quietly. This philosophy, this respect, it was foundational to our culture. We believed that humanity's strength came from our connections, not our dominance. What happened to that belief? Kurai. The name drops like a stone into still water. The Void Emperor consumed entire civilizations before we learned of his existence. Worlds where the people worked in perfect harmony with their ecosystems, where power and nature were one. He destroyed them all, reveling in the corruption of that balance. When he came for us, we fought not just for survival but for the principle that life deserves protection. That connection matters more than power. Aisha watches pain flicker across his features, old wounds reopening. You won, she reminds him. You sealed Kurai, protected Earth for 65 million years. Your civilization died, but their values survived in you. Did they? I am one person, Aisha. One survivor carrying fragments of 300,000 years of culture. How much can I truly preserve alone? You're not alone anymore, Aisha says firmly. You've got Tommy, Haley, Kimberly. You've got me now, if you want. We'll help you preserve what matters. Learn from what you know. Make sure the Ryujin legacy isn't forgotten. Naruto looks at her, something vulnerable and hopeful in his expression. You would do this. Take time from your important work to help a ghost from the past. You're not a ghost. You're a teacher who can help us remember truths we've forgotten. Aisha extends her hand. Partners. He takes it, grip warm and strong. Partners. The moment feels significant, like crossing a threshold. Aisha senses the beginning of something important, a connection that will reshape her understanding of power and purpose. Her phone buzzes. Text from Haley. Breakthrough with Dragon Gem interface. Need you both back at base. This changes everything. Asterisk. Duty calls, Aisha says. Think you can handle returning to technology after communing with nature. I will adapt, Naruto says, but his reluctance is obvious. Here, among the animals, he's found peace. We'll come back, Aisha promises. Regularly. These guys need you, and I think you need them too. Yes, Naruto admits. Thank you for sharing this sanctuary. It has helped more than you know. Back at the Dino lab, Aisha's first time seeing the full facility, and impressive doesn't cover it, Haley has transformed her workspace into something resembling a NASA control room merged with a radio shack having an identity crisis. Screens everywhere, cables snaking across floors, and in the center, a cylindrical chamber humming with barely contained energy. Tell me you didn't build a teleporter in 6 hours, Aisha says. Not a teleporter, a resonance chamber. Haley doesn't look up from her tablet, fingers flying across the display. I've been studying Naruto's Dragon Gem frequency, comparing it to our Dino gems, and I found something remarkable. His energy signature doesn't just coexist with modern morphin grid frequencies, it can amplify them. Naruto frowns. Amplify, boost, enhance, temporarily increase another ranger's power output by channeling energy through the Dragon Gem. Haley finally looks up, eyes bright with discovery. In theory, you could make any ranger significantly stronger for short periods. It's like, you're a battery and an amplifier in one. That sounds dangerous, Aisha observes. Potentially very dangerous, Haley agrees, which is why we need to test it carefully, with full consent and safety protocols. Tommy enters with Kimberly, Akira trailing behind them carrying an armload of old texts. How dangerous are we talking? Worst case. Feedback loop that damages both the Dragon Gem and the recipient's power source, Haley says bluntly. Best case. We disk over a technique that could turn the tide in major battles by temporarily empowering our rangers beyond normal limits. No, Naruto says flatly. I will not risk harming others with my power, even if it could save lives. Kimberly challenges, not unkindly. Even if, used correctly, it could prevent ranger casualties in future battles. Naruto's jaw tightens. I have seen what happens when power is pursued without wisdom. The Ryujin had access to abilities that could reshape continents. We used them sparingly, with great caution, because we understood that power without restraint breeds only destruction. But this isn't power without restraint, Akira interjects, setting down her books. Based on what I've translated from your people's surviving texts, the Dragon Gem was designed specifically for this purpose. Power sharing. The Primordial Ranger wasn't meant to fight alone but to strengthen their entire team. She opens one of the texts, ancient symbols that make Naruto's eyes widen. Where did you find this? He breathes. Fragment recovered from a site in South America. Took me 8 years to partially translate. Akira points to a specific passage. See here. The Simbo. L for dragon combined with the glyph for many as one. Your title wasn't just Dragon Ranger. It was Dragon Heart. The one who gives strength to all. Naruto leans closer, studying the text with hungry intensity. His fingers trace symbols he hasn't seen in geological ages. The heart technique, he murmurs. I had forgotten. Or perhaps the memory was too painful to recall. He looks up, meeting each person's gaze in turn. Yes, the Dragon Ranger could share power. But the cost was significant. Every amplification drew from my own life force. Use it too often, too strongly, and I would burn out completely. So it's not unlimited, Tommy summarizes. Tactical resource, not standard procedure. Precisely. Then we test it carefully, Haley decides. Minimal power transfer, full monitoring, emergency shutdown protocols. Naruto, you'd be in control the entire time. The moment it feels wrong, we stop. Naruto considers, internal debate visible in his expression. Fear warring with duty, caution against the desire to help. I will try, he says finally. Once. To understand if this technique still functions after so long dormant. But I choose who receives the first test. Fair, Tommy agrees. Who? Naruto looks at Aisha. You carry no active gem, which makes feedback less likely. And you understand balance, the danger of taking too much. If this works, I trust you to help me establish proper limits. Aisha's eyebrows rise. You just met me, and already I recognize your wisdom. Will you accept? She should say no. This is experimental, dangerous, completely unproven. But Aisha looks at Naruto's expression. Hope mingled with fear, the desperate need to be useful warring against terror of causing harm, and understands what he's really asking. Trust me, let me prove I can help rather than hurt. Asterisk. Yes, Aisha says. I'll do it. Haley's safety protocols are thorough to the point of paranoia. Aisha stands in the resonance chamber wearing enough monitoring equipment to track every vital sign imaginable. Naruto faces her from 3 feet away, close enough for contact but with safety barriers ready to deploy between them if readings spike dangerously. How does this work? Aisha asks. Physical contact initiates the connection, Naruto explains. Then I open the Dragon Gem's power flow, directing energy toward you rather than keeping it internalized. You should feel warmth, strength, heightened awareness. If you feel pain, burning, any discomfort at all, you must tell me immediately. Got it. Cosmic power boost, hold the pain. Your humor in the face of danger is admirable. Quote, learned it from the best. Naruto extends his hand. Aisha takes it. The dragon gem flares, golden light filling the chamber. Warmth floods through Aisha's palm, up her arm, spreading across her chest in waves that feel like sunrise distilled into physical sensation. Not burning. Naruto was right about that, but intense, powerful, alive in ways that make her Zeo crystal experience feel muted by comparison. Oh, Aisha gasps. Oh, this is too much. Naruto asks urgently. No, perfect. I feel everything. The energy in the room, the life force of everyone nearby. The power humming through the equipment. It's like my senses expanded to encompass the entire building. Her vision sharpens. Haley's typing across the room sounds like music, each keystroke a distinct note. She smells the coffee from upstairs, the ocean 15 miles away, ozone from the resonance chamber's electronics. Her body feels lighter, stronger, like gravity has reduced by half. This is what you feel all the time? Aisha asks. A fraction of it, Naruto confirms. I am giving you perhaps 5% of the Dragon Gem's output. Even that strains my control. Aisha can see the effort in his expression, the concentration required to maintain the power flow without overwhelming her. His hand trembles slightly in hers. Readings are stable, Haley announces. Aisha's vitals are elevated but within safe parameters. Naruto, your energy signature is steady. Whatever you're doing, it's working. How long can you maintain this? Tommy asks. Minutes, Naruto says, strain evident. Perhaps 5 at this output level. More power or longer duration would risk damage to both of us. Then we have enough data, Tommy decides. Shut it down. Naruto releases the connection, and Aisha gasps as the enhanced senses vanish. Not painfully, but the sudden return to normal perception feels like going from color to grayscale. The world seems dimmer, smaller. Wow, she breathes. That's addictive. I understand why you'd need to be careful with this. Indeed. Naruto sways slightly. Aisha catches his elbow. You okay? Fatigued. The technique draws deeply from my reserves. Even for such brief use. He manages a wan smile. But it worked. No harm to either of us. This is good. Haley's already analyzing data, muttering about energy TRA, NSFER ratios and sustainable output levels. Tommy and Kimberly discuss tactical applications, emergency situations where the boost could save lives. Akira photographs everything, documenting this historic moment. Aisha, however, focuses on Naruto, sees the relief in his eyes, the tentative hope that he can contribute positively to this new world rather than just being a dangerous relic. You did good, she tells him quietly. Really good. We did good, he corrects. Your trust made this possible. Before Aisha can respond, alarms shriek through the base. Morphin grid disturbance, Haley snaps. Coastal cliffs, 2 miles north. Multiple energy signatures, same frequency as the void cultists from the museum. They're hitting another site, Akira says, already pulling up maps. There's a temple ruin there. Barely excavated. We found it 6 months ago but hadn't secured funding for full exploration. What's in it? Tommy demands. Unknown. But the initial surveys showed Ryujin. Symbols and energy readings consistent with power storage. Akira looks at Naruto. If I had to guess, they're after more artifacts. Maybe something bigger than the resonance crystals. Naruto's exhaustion vanishes, replaced by cold fury. Then we stop them. Now, you just burned through a lot of energy, Kimberly protests. You're not at full strength. I am strong enough to fight cultists attempting to steal my people's legacy. Quote, he won't be alone, Aisha says. I'm coming too. You don't have powers, Tommy reminds her. Aisha's smile is sharp. Don't need them. I've got skills, experience, and a really bad attitude toward people who steal from archaeological sites. That'll do. Tommy looks like he wants to argue but recognizes the futility. Fine. Connor, Ethan, Kira, suit up. Haley, guide us in. Akira, you're with me providing site intelligence. Kim, already gearing up. Kimberly calls from the armory. You don't get to have all the fun. The coastal cliffs rear, up from the Pacific like stone titans challenging the sky. Wind tears at Aisha's clothes as they approach the temple site, salt spray stinging her eyes. The ruins are modest. A few standing pillars, all-apsed walls overgrown with coastal vegetation, entrance to underground chambers barely visible among the rubble. Definitely not modest. The 6 void cultists using advanced equipment to cut through the entrance's sealed door. They're not even trying to hide, Connor observes from their vantage point. Because they are confident, Naruto says darkly. Arrogant in their power. We will use that against them. The cultists work with efficient coordination, clearly experienced. Not the same individuals from the museum, but the equipment matches. Sleek, powerful, humming with energy that make Aisha's ranger instincts scream wrongness. 3 with weapons, 3 focused on the door, Ethan analyzes. Standard security setup. Standard as predictable, Naruto murmurs. Aisha, can you approach from the north side? Use the vegetation for cover. Absolutely. What's the play? You create distraction. Draw their attention. The rangers attack when they're focused on you. Kimberly frowns. You're using her as bait. I am trusting her to improvise and survive until we engage, Naruto corrects. There is a difference. Aisha grins. I like his plan. Give me 2 minutes to get in position. She moves before anyone can protest further, dropping low, using skills honed through decades of ranger work and years of tracking animals through difficult terrain. The coastal scrub provides excellent cover, dense, thorny. Perfect for silent approach. Aisha gets within 20 yards before deliberately stepping on a branch. The crack echoes like a gunshot. All 6 cultists turn, weapons raised. Who's there? Aisha stands, hands visible and empty, projecting confused civilian perfectly. Oh thank God. I'm lost. I was hiking and I think I twisted my ankle. Do you have a phone I could? Civilian. One cultist mutters. Eliminate her. Wait. Another says. She could have information. Capture first. They move toward her in a coordinated pattern, and Aisha backs up, feign. ing fear while mentally tracking their positions. 3 advancing. 3 still at the door but watching. Perfect. The Dino Rangers hit the 3 at the door like a thunderstorm given physical form. Connor's Tyranno strength sends one flying into the cliff face. Ethan's Tricera shield deflects an energy blast back at its source. Kira's Terra scream shatters equipment and eardrums simultaneously. The 3 advancing on Aisha whirl. Caught between threats, and that's when Naruto drops from above. He must have climbed the cliff face while they approached. 20 feet of sheer rock, scaled in silence. Now he descends like divine retribution, dragon blade manifesting mid-fall, golden armor brilliant against the gray stone. He lands between Aisha and the cultists, and his voice carries the "we. Ite of ages. You trespass on sacred ground. Attempting to steal from the honored dead. For this, you will answer." The lead cultist, a scarred man with tech integrated into his left arm, laughs. "The Dragon Ranger. Mira said you'd come. Good. We need a field test for the new equipment anyway." His arm transforms, biomechanical horror unfolding like a metal flower, and fires a beam of concentrated void energy. Naruto's blade intercepts it, deflecting the blast skyward. But the impact drives him back 3 steps, boots scoring the stone. "Impressive," Naruto acknowledges. "You have grown strong in my absence." "We've had 65 million years to prepare," the cultist says. "Your era is over, Dragon Ranger. Ours begins. Then let us test that claim." They clash, and Aisha watches. In awe as Naruto fights with a style she's never seen. Fluid, adaptive, reading his opponent's movements and countering before attacks fully develop. The cultist is skilled, enhanced, but Naruto has FA/CED challenges this person can't imagine. Within 30 seconds, the cultist is disarmed. Literally, Naruto's blade severs the biomechanical arm, cauterizing as it cuts. The man screams, falls. His companions, those still conscious, grab him and trigger emergency teleportation, vanishing in flashes of dark energy. Silence settles, broken only by wind and waves. "Everyone okay?" Tommy asks, deactivating his morph. Affirmatives from his team. Naruto stands at the temple entrance, studying the partially cut seal with intense focus. "They almost breached it," he says quietly. "Another few minutes and they would have accessed the inner chambers." "What's in there?" Aisha asks, approaching. Naruto's hand touches the ancient symbols carved into the stone, and they glow faintly in response to his presence. "A vault. My people stored dangerous artifacts in places like this, powerful items that required protection from those who would misuse them." "Can you open it?" Akira asks, notebook already out. "Yes, but should I?" Naruto looks at Tommy. "Some of what lies within could be helpful. Some could be catastrophic in the wrong hands. I am uncertain which is which anymore. My judgment has been compromised by loss." "Then we make the decision together," Tommy says firmly. "As a team. That's how this works." Naruto studies him for a long moment, then nods. "Together. Yes, I will learn this new way." He places both hands on the seal, and the dragon gem flares. Energy flows from him into the ancient lock mechanism, patterns activating in sequence. The stone grinds, moves, revealing stairs descending into darkness. "Well," Kimberly says, pulling out a flashlight. "Who wants to explore a potentially deadly ancient temple?" "Is that rhetorical?" Ethan asks. "Absolutely." They descend together, lights cutting through darkness that hasn't known illumination in geological ages. The temple's interior is remarkably preserved. Dry air, sealed environment, walls covered in murals depicting Ryujin history. Aisha stops at one mural, breath-catching. It shows rangers, clearly rangers. The stylized armor is unmistakable, fighting alongside dinosaurs against creatures of shadow and void. "The war with Kurai," Naruto confirms, seeing her focus. "This is our history, our warning to future generations about the price of complacency." The vault itself sits at the tunnel's end. A circular chamber with pedestals arranged in concentric rings. Most are empty. Artifacts removed millennia ago are never placed, but 3 hold objects that hum with barely contained power. A Krista, L-line sphere filled with swirling energy. A metallic gauntlet sized for a Ryujin warrior. A small carved stone that seems to drink in the flashlight beams. "These survived," Naruto whispers. "After everything, these survived. What are they? Haley asks, scanners out and recording. The sphere is a harmony core. It stores ambient energy from living ecosystems, can be used to heal or empower. The gauntlet is a strength amplifier, allowing the wearer to channel their physical power with greater efficiency. And the stone, he hesitates. The void anchor, used to track and locate void energy. Invaluable for hunting Kurai's cultists. We take them back to the base, Tommy decides. Study them, understand them, use them if appropriate. With respect, Akira interjects, these belong in a museum. Protected, studied by scholars, shared with people the void cultists can threaten or kill to steal them, Naruto interrupts gently. Akira, I admire your dedication to preserving knowledge. But these are weapons first. Artifacts second. They must be secured. Akira looks pained but nods. You're right. I hate it, but you're right. Carefully, reverently, they remove the 3 objects. The harmony core pulses when Aisha touches it, warm and welcoming. The gauntlet seems to resize itself when Connor examines it. The void anchor, which Naruto handles personally, emits a low hum that makes everyone uncomfortable. It senses them, Naruto explains. The cultists who were here. Their void corruption lingers on this site, and the anchor responds to it. Can you track them? Kimberly asks. Perhaps. Given time to attune myself to this specific frequency. The technique is complex, requires meditation and... He stops, sways. The exhaustion he'd been suppressing crashes back, and Aisha is there instantly. Supporting him. Okay. That's enough heroics for one day, she decides. We're getting you back to base, fed, and rested. The cultist hunting can wait until you're not about to pass out. I am fine, Naruto protests weakly. You're a terrible liar, Aisha counters. Tommy, tell him he's a terrible liar. You're a terrible liar, Tommy confirms. Aisha's right, we've got what we came for. Stopped the theft, recovered important artifacts. That's a win. Let's not ruin it by pushing until someone gets hurt. They make their way back to the surface, Naruto. Leaning on Aisha more than he'd probably prefer to admit. The sun has shifted during their underground exploration, late afternoon now, golden light painting the ocean in shades of amber and rose. Beautiful, peaceful, the kind of moment that reminds Aisha why protecting Earth matters. Thank you, Naruto says quietly as they walk. For trusting me today, for fighting beside me, he struggles for words, for making this new world feel less alien. You're welcome, Aisha replies. And for what it's worth. I think you're going to do just fine here. You've got the important parts figured out. Protect people, honor the past. Stay open to the future. The rest is just details. Just details, Naruto repeats, something like amusement in his tone. Such as learning why modern humans wear such impractical footwear. Or why they willingly ingest beverages that make their heads hurt, or why shopping malls exist when they serve no apparent survival function. Aisha laughs. Okay, yeah, there's a lot of weird modern stuff to unpack. But we'll help you figure it out. One confusing cultural artifact at a time. They reach the vehicles, the team tired but satisfied. Another crisis averted, more knowledge gained. Connections strengthened. As they drive back toward Reefside, Aisha catches Naruto watching the passing landscape with less sadness than before. Still grieving, that one. Fade quickly, but mixed now with something else. Curiosity, interest, the beginning of belonging. She smiles, making a mental note to bring him back to Savannah Hope soon. The animals miss him already, and he needs that connection. That reminder that life endures and adapts and finds beauty even after loss. Her phone buzzes. Text from Haley. Initial analysis on the artifacts is fascinating. Also, I may have developed a crush on the 65-million-year-old ranger. Is that weird? Don't answer that. Asterisk. Aisha grins. Oh, this is going to be interesting. Chapter 3 end asterisk asterisk hash chapter 4, Shadows and Storms. The wave builds like a liquid mountain, and Tori Hansen doesn't think, she acts. Paddle, paddle, feel the swell lift the board. Pop up. Wade forward, carve into the face as 6 feet of Pacific Ocean power curls overhead, creating a tunnel of churning water and refracted sunlight that exists for maybe 8 seconds before collapsing into foam. 8 seconds of perfection. Tori rides it out, exits the barrel clean, kicks out as the wave loses energy beneath her. She sits up on her board, breathing hard, grinning like an idiot because damn, that was exactly what she needed after 3 weeks of frustratingly flat surf. Blue Bay Harbor spreads around her. Early morning, fog still clinging to the coastline, the beach empty except for a few dedicated locals and her students from store chargers who think 6 a.m. is a reasonable time to practice cutbacks. The ocean tastes like salt and possibility, cold enough to keep her alert without requiring a full wetsuit, perfect conditions for clearing her head. Which she desperately needs, because Sensei Watanabe's cryptic message last night, "Prepare yourself, Tori. The balance shifts, and you will be called to meet what rises," has been nagging at her subconscious like a splinter she can't quite reach. Her communicator, waterproofed and strapped to her wrist, chirps. Incoming call from said sensei. Tori sighs, paddles toward shore. Prophetic ninja masters don't call during prime surf time unless the world's actually ending, and she's learned not to ignore those instincts. She's toweling off when he materializes, literally, Beck. Oz Sensei Watanabe has never met a dramatic entrance he didn't love, from a swirl of leaves that have no business being on a beach. Show off, Tori mutters affectionately. Student, he greets, EY's twinkling with that particular amusement that means he's about to ruin her perfectly planned day. I trust you received my message. The vague, ominous one about balance and rising things. Yeah, got it, still don't know what it means. Quote, then allow me to illuminate. Sensei Watanabe produces a small tablet. The juxtaposition of ancient ninja wisdom and modern tech always makes Tori smirk, and pulls up what looks like a seismographic readout. 3 days ago, the Morphin Grid experienced a disturbance unlike any in recorded Ranger history. Energy signatures predating the grid's known origins, emanating from Reefside. Okay. Tori wraps her towel around her waist. Reefside has Dino Thunder. They probably just fought some new monster. Not a monster, a Ranger. He swipes to a new screen. Showing energy analysis that means nothing to Tori's non-technical brain. Specifically, a Ranger from Earth's Cretaceous period, 65 million years old, bonded to what appears to be the primordial dragon Zord. Tori stares. You're messing with me. That's impossible. I thought so as well. Then drive. Oliver contacted the Academy, requesting consultation on ancient Ranger Tekken IQs and asking if we had any records of prehistoric Ninja Ranger integration. Sensei's expression turns serious. Tori, this individual represents power we cannot fully comprehend. Power that could destabilize the careful balance between Ranger teams, attract dangerous attention, or simply overwhelm those unprepared to channel it. And you want me to do what, exactly? Babysit a dinosaur Ranger. I want you to assess. To determine if this Naruto Uzumaki is ally, threat, or something more complex. Sensei pauses, and perhaps to learn from him, as he must learn from our modern world. The path of water and the path of the dragon have always held potential for either harmony or destruction. I believe you uniquely positioned to determine which. Tori processes this, mind already running tactical scenarios. When do I leave? Your students can manage storm chargers for a few days. I have already arranged coverage. Sensei produces a set of keys. Take the coastal route. Clear your mind. When you arrive in Reefside, seek out Cyberspace Cafe. Dr. Oliver expects you. Any other cryptic wisdom before I go? Sensei Watanabe smiles. Yes. Do not let your competitive nature cloud your judgment. This is not a contest. Everything's a contest, Sensei. You taught me that. I taught you that life rewards those who strive for excellence. Not that you must defeat everyone you meet to prove your worth. Tori makes a face. Philosophical distinctions. My favorite. Go, Sensei says, but there's warmth beneath the command. And Tori, be open to what you might find. The universe has a way of providing what we need precisely when we need it, though rarely in the form we expect. He vanishes in another swirl of leaves, because apparently one dramatic exit per conversation is mandatory in the Ninja Handbook. Tori looks at the keys. Her motorcycle, which she hasn't ridden in weeks, then at the ocean, then at the sky beginning to burn with sunrise colors. A 65 million year old Ranger. Sure, why not? Her life was already weird. She changes quickly, gears up, and hits the coastal highway with the kind of speed that's technically illegal but feels necessary. Wind tears at her leather jacket. The bike's engine a steady growl beneath her, and Tori lets the ride clear away the morning's confusion. By the time Reefside's city limits appear, she's centered herself. Ready for whatever this is. Storm Chargers is a surf shop. Cyberspace is apparently a cafe. Tori appreciates the civilians with secret identities aesthetic, very relatable. Inside, the cafe is nicer than she expected. Clean, modern, good coffee smell. A few customers scattered at tables, and in the back corner, a group that practically screams, Ranger meeting in progress. Dr. Tommy Oliver, she recognizes instantly. Legendary Ranger, saved the world more times than most people change socks, carries himself like someone who knows exactly how dangerous he is and chooses restraint anyway. Others she doesn't know. Petite woman with an athlete's build and confident smile, taller woman with dark skin and the kind of calm that suggests either yoga instructor or secretly badass, and a guy in the corner who. Tori stops walking. He's watching her with eyes so blue they're nearly luminous, expression neutral but body language screaming combat assessment. Blonde hair with red streaks that look natural. Tribal markings visible on his forearms where his sleeves are pushed up. And the gem in his chest, pulsing with light that makes her ranger instincts sit up and take notice. Power. Serious, undeniable. Holy shit, that's a lot of power. Tori Hansen. Tommy greets, standing. Thanks for coming. This is Kimberly Hart, Aisha Campbell, and Naruto Uzumaki, the blonde says, accent. Placing him exactly nowhere Tori recognizes. The Blue Wind Ranger. Sensei Watanabe spoke highly of your skills. Did he? Tori doesn't break eye contact. Funny, he mostly just tells me I'm too impulsive and need better balance. He said that as well, Naruto confirms, and there's the ghost of a smile. Also that you are the finest water specialist ranger currently active, with combat instincts that rival shinobi training. High praise from one so selective with compliments. Okay, that's actually kind of flattering. Tori feels herself relax slightly. So you're the prehistoric ranger causing all the fuss. I am the ranger from the Cretaceous period, yes. Whether I cause fuss or merely exist while others create fuss around me remains debatable. Kimberly, former Pink Ranger, Tori remembers now, snorts. He's got you there. Most of the fuss has been cultists trying to steal his people's artifacts. Void cultists, Aisha adds. Religious fanatics trying to resurrect an interdimensional entity called Kurai. You know, light reading material. Tori pulls out a chair, sits backward on it, arms crossed over the backrest. Okay, so cult problems, ancient evil, standard Ranger Tuesday. Why am I here specifically? Because we have a mission that requires water expertise, Tommy explains, pulling up a holographic display from a small projector. Underwater temple, 10 miles offshore. Haley's scans suggest it contains more Ryujin artifacts, specifically, something called the tidal resonator. A device my people used to communicate with aquatic species, Naruto elaborates. Also capable of manipulating large-scale water currents, which in the wrong hands could trigger tsunamis or disrupt ocean ecosystems catastrophically. And the cultists know about it, Tori guesses. We intercepted communications suggesting they're planning a retrieval operation within the next 48 hours, Tommy confirms. We need to get there first, extract the resonator, secure it before they can. Underwater temple recovery. Tori's competitive instincts flare. I'm in. When do we leave? 2 hours, Tommy says. Gives us time to prep equipment, brief you on everything we know about void cultist tactics. And for you to test me, Tori interrupts, looking at Naruto. Make sure I can actually handle myself before you trust me on a real mission. Naruto tilts his head, studying her. You are perceptive. I'm a ninja and a ranger. Reading between the lines is literally my job. Tori stands, cracks her knuckles. So what's it going to be? Sparring match, obstacle course, prove your worth montage. Tori, Tommy starts, but Naruto raises a hand. No, she is correct. I do not know her capabilities firsthand. A sparring session would provide valuable tactical information and allow us to establish rapport before entering a dangerous situation together. Plus you want to see if the modern water ranger can keep up with the ancient dragon ranger, Tori says bluntly. Naruto's smile is small but genuine. That is also true. I admit to curiosity about how ranger techniques have evolved. Then let's satisfy that curiosity. Tori grins, sharp and competitive. Training room. Kimberly and Aisha exchange glances that Tori can't quite read, but Tommy just sighs. Dino Lab Training Facility. 15 minutes. And Tori, he's stronger than you expect. Good, Tori says. I like a challenge. The Dino Lab's training room is impressive. Reinforced walls, configurable terrain, equipment ranging from basic weights to advanced ranger simulation tech. Tori changes into workout gear, wraps her hands, and centers herself through breathing techniques Sensei Watanabe drilled into her until they became instinct. Naruto enters wearing simple training clothes, barefoot, moving with the kind of grace that comes from centuries of muscle memory. He bows formally, old-school ranger courtesy that Tori appreciates. She returns it, equally formal, then drops into her fighting stance. Rules, she asks. No morphing, no weapons, stop when injury becomes likely, Naruto suggests. This is assessment, not combat. Works for me. They circle each other, and Tori immediately notices how he moves. Weight perfectly distributed, posture suggesting he can flow into offense or defense without telegraphing. His eyes track her movements with the kind of focus that means he's cataloging her style, looking for patterns. She feints left, tests his reaction speed with a quick jab. He deflects it casually, doesn't counter. Still analyzing, Tori presses the advantage, flowing through a combination she learned from Cam. High kick to draw guard up, drop low, sweep the legs. It's worked on 90% of opponents she's faced. Naruto isn't 90%. He reads the sweep, jumps over it, and suddenly he's inside her guard. Palm strike aimed at her solar plexus, moving slow enough she can block but fast enough to prove the point. You telephone. Graph your sweeps slightly with your shoulders, he observes, backing off. Otherwise, excellent technique. Tori grits her teeth. Constructive criticism from someone she's trying to impress is annoying. Again. This time she adjusts, keeps her shoulders still, varies her rhythm. Naruto adapts with her, matching her pace, and it becomes a dance. Strike, counter, flow, redirect. He's not trying to overwhelm her, Tori realizes. He's teaching, showing her where her form needs refinement through application rather than lecture. It's infuriating and effective in equal measure. You rely heavily on speed and precision. Naruto comments, blocking a spinning kick. Less on raw power. Smart, given your build, but it makes you predictable against opponents who can match your speed. Thanks for the coaching session, Tori snaps. Frustration bleeding through. You going to actually fight or just critique? Something shifts in Naruto's expression. You want me to fight seriously. I want to see what you've actually got. Not the teaching demonstration. Very well. He moves. Tori barely tracks it. Enhanced speed that shouldn't be possible without morphing, closing distance in a blink. She blocks on instinct, but the impact sends her sliding backward 3 feet. He follows, combination flowing like water, each strike precisely placed to exploit the openings her defense creates. Tori gives ground, mind racing. He's faster, stronger, more experienced. But she's not helpless. She's a ranger and a ninja, trained by the best, and she didn't become Blue Wind Ranger by giving up when outmatched. She changes tactics. Stop trying to match him directly. Use the environment. Tori rolls backward, uses the momentum to spring off a training dummy, comes at him from an aerial angle he's not expecting. Naruto's eyes widen. Surprise, actual surprise, and his defense is a split second slow. Tori's kick connects with his shoulder, not hard enough to injure but enough to prove she can land hits. She backflips away, grinning. Not so predictable now, am I? No, Naruto agrees, rubbing his shoulder. That was clever. Using my superior ground position against me by taking to the air. I underestimated your creativity. People usually do. Tori's breathing hard, sweat stinging her eyes, but she feels alive. Want to call it, or keep going? Keep going, Naruto decides. But now we both fight seriously. Yes, hell yes. They clash again, and this time it's pure exhilaration. Naruto's stopped holding back, showing her the full range of his style. Techniques that blend martial arts she recognizes with movements that predate human civilization. Tori answers with everything she's learned. Ninja speed, ranger power, surfer's balance, street fighter's adaptability. She doesn't win. Not even close. But she makes him work for it. Lands enough hits to prove she belongs in the ring with him, and when he finally sweeps her legs and pins her, gentle, controlled, no chance of injury, Tori's laughing. Okay, she gasps. Okay, you're good, really good, annoyingly good. Naruto offers his hand, helps her up. You are exceptional. Your adaptability is remarkable. I have rare. Lee fought someone who adjusts strategy so quickly mid-combat. With more experience fighting opponents like me, you would be truly formidable. Coming from him, that's high praise. Tori feels the competitive burn ease into something else. Respect, maybe, recognition. So do I pass the test? She asks. You exceed it, Naruto says simply. I would trust you at my back in combat. This is the high, saint compliment I can offer a fellow warrior. Tori finds herself smiling, genuine and warm. Right back at you, ancient guy. I am not that ancient. Only 65 million years. Barely middle-aged by geological standards. Did you just make a joke? I have been assured by Kimberly that humor helps with cultural integration. Humor helps with everything, Tori confirms. Come on, let's grab water before the actual mission. I want to hear more about these aquatic species you used to communicate with. They head to the main lab area, where Haley's surrounded by equipment and looking slightly frazzled. Kimberly and Aisha are reviewing tactical displays, but both look up when Naruto and Tori enter. How'd it go? Kimberly asks. He's insufferable, Tori says cheerfully. I like him. She is skilled beyond her years. Naruto adds. I like her as well. Haley clears her throat. Great. Everyone likes everyone. Now can we focus on the mission where we retrieve an artifact cap? Able of creating tsunamis before cultists get it. Haley's very focused, Aisha explains to Tori. It's part of her charm. I don't have time for charm. I have time for preventing apocalypses. Ailey pulls up a 3D model of the underwater temple. Okay, here's what we're dealing with. Structures at 300 feet depth, which means pressurization issues for anyone who isn't morphed or using specialized equipment. The tidal resonator should be in the central chamber, but we're looking at maze-like corridors designed to confuse intruders. My people enjoyed security through complexity, Naruto admits. We assumed anyone with ill intent would lack the patience for elaborate navigation. You assumed wrong, Haley says dryly. Because the void cultists have patience and advanced underwater tech. We're intercepting chatter suggesting they'll hit the site tonight. Then we go now, Tommy decides, entering with Connor, Ethan, and Kira. Naruto, Tori, you two take point on the underwater approach. Tori's water expertise and Naruto's knowledge of Ryujin architecture make you our best bet for fast navigation. Connor and Ethan will provide surface support with the aquatic Zords. Kira, you're on aerial reconnaissance in case cultists try an above-water extraction. What about me? Kimberly asks. You and Aisha coordinate from here with Haley. If things go wrong, we need experienced rangers managing the crisis response. Kimberly looks like she wants to argue but nods. Be careful down there. She's looking at Naruto when she says it, Tori notices. Interesting. Ice. Ha also watches Naruto with particular attention, expression fond. Also interesting. Tori files away the observation. Potential romantic complications, which might explain the weird tension she's been sensing, and focuses on the mission. Underwater combat, she says. My specialty. What's the morphed breathing apparatus situation? Ranger suits adapt to environment, Ethan explains. You'll be fine morphed. Naruto. The dragon armor includes full environmental adaptation, Naruto confirms. I have fought in vacuum, underwater, and within volcanic chambers. This will present no difficulties. Show off, Tori mutters. But she's grinning. The Pacific is choppy today, wind kicking up whitecaps that make surface navigation challenging. Tori stands at the boat's edge, Dino Thunder Ha. S.A. surprisingly well-equipped aquatic vessel, already morphed, blue wind ranger armor gleaming in the afternoon sun. Naruto emerges from below deck in full dragon ranger configuration, and Tori has to admit the armor is gorgeous. Golden plates, flowing design, that pulsing gem in the chest that radiates power. He looks like something from mythology come to life. Ready? He asks. Born ready, Tori confirms. You good with underwater movement? Some land-based fighters get disoriented by the three-dimensional combat space. I spent 2 centuries training with the Depth Guardians, aquatic Ryujin who bonded with marine saurians. Water is as familiar as air to me. Of course it is, Tori says. Because you're good at everything. Must be nice. It is the result of living long enough to learn many skills, Naruto says. You will achieve similar versatility given time. I'm 19. You're 65 million and change. I've got some catching up to do. Then we should begin now. Naruto dives off the boat. Clean entry barely disturbing the water. Tori follows, and the ocean embraces her like coming home. This is her element, where she's strongest, most confident, most herself. The blue wind powers enhance her natural affinity, turning good into exceptional. She can feel the currents, sense the thermal layers, intuitively understand the underwater topography. Naruto descends beside her, and through their helmet comms she hears, "You move beautifully in the water. Like you were born to it." "Surfing since I was 6, Tori replies. "Diving since I was 10. The ocean's my first love." It shows. They descend through darkening water, sunlight fading as depth increases. At 300 feet, darkness is near complete, but their helmets compensate with enhanced vision. The temple emerges from the gloom like a fever dream, architecture that's simultaneously familiar and alien, covered in bioluminescent growth that paints everything in eerie blue-green light. "Wow," Tori breathes. "Your people built this." "One of many underwater research facilities," Naruto confirms. "We studied the ocean's ecosystems, learned from the creatures who mastered these depths long before we arrived. Humanity could learn from that humility. Humanity has time. We did not." There's sadness in his voice, old grief that Tori decides not to push. Instead, she focuses on the mission. "Where's the entrance?" Naruto points to a triangular opening, partially obscured by coral growth. "There. But something is wrong." "What?" "The bioluminescence. It should be blue-green throughout, indicating healthy microbial ecosystem. See those red patches?" Tori looks closer. He's right. Sections of the growth pulse angry red instead of peaceful blue-green. "Contamination," Naruto says grimly. "Void energy corrupts organic matter. The cultists have been here already." "Shit, they might already have the resonator. Or they are still inside. Either way, we must investigate." They swim through the entrance. And Tori's immediately disoriented. The interior corridors branch in every direction. Up, down, sideways, creating a 3-dimensional maze that makes conventional navigation impossible. "Okay," she admits. "I'm lost. Follow me," Naruto says. The patterns may seem random, but they follow mathematical principles based on sacred geometry. Once you understand the underlying structure, navigation becomes intuitive. He leads them through turns that seem arbitrary but gradually reveal pattern. Left, up, right, down, left. Fibonacci sequence, Tori realizes. Each turn corresponds to numbers in the sequence, creating a navigational code. "That's clever," she says. "Accessible to anyone with mathematical knowledge but confusing to brute force intruders." Precisely. They emerge into a larger chamber, and Tori's breath catches. The room is enormous, walls covered in murals depicting underwater scenes of impossible beauty. Ryujin rangers swimming alongside massive marine reptiles. Coral cities. Ecosystem harmony that makes her heart ache with longing for something she never knew existed. "Your civilization was beautiful," she whispers. "It was," Naruto agrees quietly. "Thank you for seeing that." The tidal resonator sits on a central pedestal, a sphere of crystalline material filled with swirling water that seems to move independently of external forces. Beautiful and deadly. Also, surrounded by 6 void cultists in advanced underwater combat suits. "Well," Tori says, "this is about to get interesting." The lead cultist, a woman Who's suit bears lieutenant markings, laughs, the sound distorted through water and helmet speakers. The Dragon Ranger, right on schedule. Mira sends her regards. Mira can send herself, Naruto replies. Preferably into a prison cell. Such hostility. We're simply reclaiming what should have been destroyed with your civilization. The resonator will accelerate our master's resurrection significantly. You will leave empty-handed. Naruto states. We'll see about that. The lieutenant signals, and her team attacks. Underwater combat is different from surface fighting, three-dimensional, momentum-based, requiring constant awareness of pressure, buoyancy, and current. Tori loves it. She engages two cultists simultaneously, using the water to enhance her movements. Spinning kick that the water resistance makes powerful. Grab one cultist's arm and use them as leverage to strike the other. The blue wind powers let her manipulate water currents, creating eddies and flows that destabilize her opponents. Naruto fights four at once, and it's like watching art. His dragon blade cuts through water with minimal resistance, some kind of energy field reducing drag, and his movements flow perfectly with the environment. He's not fighting against the water but with it, letting currents enhance rather than impede. You are skilled, the lieutenant admits, blocking his strike. But we came prepared. She activates something on her wrist, and void energy pulses outward. The water itself seems to corrupt, turning dark, viscous, wrong. Tori feels it dragging at her movements, sapping strength from her limbs. Naruto. She gasps. What is this? Void contamination, he replies, struggling against the same effect. They are poisoning the water itself, turning our environment against us. Can you counter it? Not while fighting four opponents. Then let me help. Tori doesn't overthink it. She reaches deep into her connection with water, the bond that made her Blue Wind Ranger, and pushes back against the corruption. Pure, clean ocean energy against void darkness. It's like pushing against a wall, exhausting, but she feels the contamination retreat slightly. It is working, Naruto says. But you cannot maintain this and fight simultaneously. Watch me, Tori grits out. She flows into a defensive pattern, still channeling purification energy while fending off her two opponents. It's the hardest thing she's ever done, dividing concentration between combat and environmental manipulation, but she refuses to give ground. Naruto takes advantage of the cleaner water, pressing his attack with renewed vigor. Two cultists fall quickly, disabled but alive. The third gets smart, tries to flee. Naruto's hand extends, and the dragon gem flares. Golden energy lances through the water, creating a net that captures the fleeing cultist. How did you? Tori starts. Later. Focus on purification. I will handle combat. It becomes a rhythm. Tori clears the water. Naruto fights. He's a whirlwind of controlled violence, taking down cultists with precise efficiency. Within 2 minutes, 5 are unconscious or restrained. Only the lieutenant remains. Impressive, she admits, but futile. Even if you defeat me, more will come. The void's resurrection is inevitable. Nothing is inevitable, Naruto says coldly. I proved that 65 million years ago. I will prove it again. They clash, and Tori watches in awe as they exchange strikes too fast to fully track. The lieutenant is clearly enhanced. Void corruption traded for power, but Naruto has experience measured in centuries. He wins, but not easily. The lieutenant falls, unconscious, and Naruto immediately secures her with energy bonds. The resonator, he says, swimming to the pedestal. We must take it before reinforcements arrive. Tori reaches out to touch the sphere, and the water inside responds to her presence. Swirling faster, forming patterns, almost like it recognizes her. It likes you, Naruto observes. The feeling's mutual. She carefully removes the resonator from its pedestal, and the temple shudders. Ancient security measures activating, maybe, or just structural instability from the void contamination. Time to leave, Tori decides. They swim for the exit, resonator secured, unconscious cultists left for Tommy's team to retrieve. The return journey should be I'd forward, follow the Fibonacci sequence in reverse, but halfway through, Tori's danger sense screams. Naruto. Above, the explosion rocks the temple, collapsing the corridor they just left. Water pressure shifts violently, currents becoming chaotic, and through the murk Tori sees a massive void creature, something that looks like a corrupted whale crossed with a nightmare, bearing down on them. Backup plan. The lieutenant's voice crackles through temple-wide speakers. Remote activation, clearly. If I can't have the resonator, neither can you. The devourer will ensure that. The creature roars, a sound that shouldn't be possible underwater, and attacks. Tori dodges, but its tail catches her, sends her spinning. The resonator tumbles from her grip. Naruto moves faster than physics should allow, catches the resonator. Positions himself between Tori and the creature. Get behind me, he orders. Like hell, Tori counters, recovering. We fight together. It is too dangerous. Everything we do is dangerous. Now shut up and tell me how to kill this thing. Despite this situation, Naruto laughs. Aim for the throat. The corruption spreads from a void seed embedded there. Destroy the seed, the creature dies. Great. Minor problem. That thing's the size of a bus. Then we will need to be creative. The creature attacks again, massive jaws opening. Tori has an insane idea, probably suicidal. Definitely stupid, absolutely something Sensei would disapprove of. She loves it. Naruto, trust me, with my life. Good. When I say now, hit it with everything you've got. Biggest energy blast you can manage. What will you be doing? Surfing. What? Tori doesn't explain. She channels her water manipulation, creating a current that catches her and accelerates her directly at the creature. It's like surfing a wave, except the wave is her own creation and she's heading towards something that wants to eat her. The creature's jaws open wide. Tori rides the current straight into its mouth, teeth the size of her torso on either side, and keeps going, down its throat, until she sees it, a pulsing black seed embedded in the tissue, corrupting everything around it. Now, she screams. Naruto's energy blast hits the creature from outside, and Tori adds her own from within, concentrated wind-water combination directly on the void seed. The explosion is spectacular. Tori's thrown clear as the creature convulses, dies, begins dissolving into harmless organic matter. She tumbles through the water, disoriented, until strong hands catch her. That was the most reckless, foolish, brilliant thing I have ever witnessed, Naruto says, and he sounds impressed. Did it work? The creature is dead. You succeeded. He pauses. Also, you are insane. I prefer creatively tactical. That is what insane people say to justify their recklessness. They break the surface together, late afternoon sun blinding after the depths. The Dino Thunder vessel is waiting, and Tommy hauls them aboard with visible relief. We saw the explosion, he says. Thought you were dead. Nearly were, Tori admits. But we got the resonator. Naruto hands it over to Haley, who immediately begins scanning it with equipment that appears out of nowhere. This is incredible, Haley breathes. The technology is decades beyond anything we've developed. Maybe centuries. 65 million years, Naruto corrects. But who is counting? Tori collapses on the deck, exhausted but exhilarated. Kimberly appears with towels, Aisha with water bottles. You did good, Kimberly says. And there's warmth in her voice that makes Tori look up. Thanks. Your friend's pretty impressive in a fight. He's getting there, Kimberly agrees, glancing at Naruto with obvious fondness. Aisha sits beside Tori, studying her. You and Naruto worked well together. Natural synchronization. He's easy to read in combat, Tori says. Telegraphs his intentions just enough to. A good partner can anticipate and complement. Interesting, Aisha says, tone suggesting multiple layers of meaning. Later, after they've returned to base and debriefed, Tori finds herself in the lab's rec area with coffee that's actually decent. Kimberly and Aisha are there too, and the atmosphere feels significant. So, Kimberly starts. How much did you notice? Tori decides honesty is probably best. That you and Aisha both have feelings for Naruto. Pretty obvious. That obvious. Aisha grimaces. I'm a ninja. Reading people is kind of my thing. Tori sips her coffee. Also, he's objectively attractive and genuinely good person. I'd be more surprised if you weren't interested. Kimberly and Aisha exchange glances, some kind of silent communication happening. We've been discussing it, Kimberly admits. The situation, I mean. Both of us are attracted to him. Plus Haley, though she's in denial about it. And Cassidy, potentially, Aisha adds. If we can figure out whether she's actually evil or just manipulated by cultists. And Akira definitely has a thing developing, Kimberly continues. Tori processes this. So you're, what? Forming a queue, taking numbers. We're being adults about it. Aisha says firmly. Communicating, acknowledging feelings, trying to figure out if there's a path forward that doesn't destroy friendships or hurt anyone. Tori considers. That's actually mature. I'm impressed. Comes with age and experience, Kimberly says. When you're younger, you think love is a competition. As you get older, you realize it's more complicated. People can care about multiple people. Relationships can take different forms. Are you suggesting what I think you're suggesting? Tori asks carefully. We don't know yet, Aisha admits. But we're open to possibilities. Naruto's from a culture where relationship structures were different. More flexible, more focused on emotional connection than rigid societal rules. And you're telling me this because we noticed how you looked at him during training, Kimberly says gently. And how he looked at you during the mission debrief. And we wanted you to know that whatever you're feeling, it's okay. You're not competing with us. Tori's chest feels tight. I barely know him. So get to know him, Aisha suggests. Spend time together. See what develops. We're all figuring this out together. This is the weirdest conversation I've ever had, Tori mutters. Welcome to Ranger life, Kimberly says cheerfully. Where fighting interdimensional evil is normal. But navigating relationships requires a team meeting. Despite herself, Tori laughs. You two are something else. We're experienced Rangers who've learned that honesty and communication prevent drama, Aisha corrects. Want to join our completely unprecedented and slightly terrifying emotional support group? Tori thinks about Naruto. About how he fought, how he trusted her instantly, how he made her laugh even in the middle of a crisis. About the loneliness she glimpsed in his eyes, the weight of being the last of his kind. About how, just maybe, she could help carry that weight. Yeah, she decides. Yeah, I'm in. Later that night, Tori finds Naruto on the base's observation deck, staring at the stars. Can't sleep, she asks. The constellations are wrong, he says quietly. 65 million years of stellar drift. I know intellectually where the familiar stars should be, but seeing them displaced is disorienting. I bet. Tori joins him at the railing. For what it's worth, you did good today. Really good. I've worked with a lot of Rangers, and your combat instincts are top tier. You are skilled as well. The trust required to let you pursue that insane plan with the creature, it speaks highly of your demonstrated competence. You trusted me, Tori says. After knowing me for like 6 hours. Why? Naruto is quiet for a moment. Because I recognized a fellow warrior. Someone who understands that true strength includes knowing when to be reckless, when to be cautious, and how to tell the difference. That wisdom cannot be taught, only earned through experience. That's probably the best compliment I've ever received. Then you have been receiving inadequate compliments. They stand in comfortable silence, watching stars that neither fully recognizes but both find beautiful. Kimberly and Aisha talk to you, Naruto says eventually. Not a question. Yeah, about stuff, feelings, complicated relationship dynamics. The fact that multiple people in this group are developing emotional connections to the ancient ranger who still barely understands how coffee machines work. Tori laughs. Pretty much. You okay with all that? I am uncertain, Naruto admits. My people had different relationship structures, yes. But I am one person, Tori. With significant trauma, deep grief, and the emotional complexity of someone who has lost literally everything. I do not know if I can be what any of you need, let alone multiple someones. Hey, Tori says firmly. Nobody's asking you to be anything except yourself. Whatever develops, friendship, more than friendship, whatever, it happens because people connect, not because anyone's fulfilling a role. You sound very certain of this. I'm not certain of anything, Tori admits. But I know I like you. I know I want to get to know you better. And I know I'm willing to see where that goes, with zero expectations except honesty and respect. Naruto looks at her, really looks. And Tori feels seen in a way that's both terrifying and exhilarating. I would like that as well, he says quietly. Getting to know you better. You remind me of the Depth Guardians, fierce, adaptable, unafraid of the deep places where others fear to go. That's poetic. I have been told I occasionally achieve eloquence. Usually by accident. I'm starting to think nothing you do is by accident. Then you have more faith in me than I have in myself. Good, Tori says. Someone should. Naruto's smile is soft, vulnerable, and real. Thank you, Tori Hansen. For today, for trust, for this, anytime, ancient guy. They stand together under unfamiliar stars, two warriors beginning to understand that maybe, just maybe, they don't have to carry their burdens alone. In the lab below, Haley reviews the day's data and tries very hard not to think about how the Dragon Ranger's smile makes her heart race. She fails spectacularly. Chapter 4 End. The end. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember to subscribe and like this video. See you in the next video.